And this section now on AI image generation, the most important, alongside the next section with regards making AI video. You've already seen me create lots of images over the previous few sections, and you probably wondered, what's he doing? How's he doing that? I haven't gone into depth. That's what this section is. I'm going to go in depth with lots of different tools that I use. There are primarily 2 to 3 tools that I use. And at the end of this section, you'll see me actually start doing more of our course project we've been working on and some of the issues I come up against, how I have to use generative fill to get in some parts of images I want and in painting and all things like this. You can see that, as well as some prompting guides and styles and things, camera types I talk about. But I go over, if I put up this slide right here, I go over many tools, predominantly here, Midjourney, DALL-E, Gemini, Stable Diffusion, Dream Studio, Adobe Firefly, really good, Runway Image, and then some social media ones which are way more for the casual user. That's Meta, which I think is going to grow a lot, and so is XAI, Grok, that's for X or formerly Twitter. We go over all these tools and I will keep adding to this section as more image tools come out that I think are great. Now you have access as a student, go over to our page, aivideo.school/AI-image-generation. And that is the page that I've got all the details on here. There's some information at the top actually about AI image generation. If you scroll down, there's a drop down menu for all of these tools and it explains a little bit about them and also some key things you'll need to know with regards how to use some syntaxes in some or best practices, and then I go through these in depth in video, one tool at a time, and then we concentrate. I like to use Midjourney, a little bit of Photoshop and Firefly also, but Midjourney is my main go-to tool, and there are a few advanced lessons on that after I go through all of these tools as an overview. So you'll be able to, by the end of this section, know what all the main tools are for creating images, the strengths and perhaps the limitations of all of these tools, how to use them, and then you can decide what it is that you want to use. Perhaps budget is an issue, or user interface, or what it is you're using them for your product. You'll be able to choose from all the best AI image generation tools out there on the market. My favorite is Midjourney and a little bit of Adobe Photoshop and Firefly. Yours might be something completely different. Please let me know. I'm excited to learn. Okay, let's get into this. Let's get into the section. Now, the first tool I want to give you an overview of, as mentioned, is Midjourney. Midjourney will be our main image generation tool right now in the marketplace. It is probably by far the best image generator that's out there. That may change quite soon and is forever changing, and there are others that are also really good. It's just my preferred tool, and you might find one of the others. I'm going to show you several more after this. I'll give you an overview of the next 5, 6, 10. That'll keep increasing in the next little section here, following on from this one. But Midjourney right now is a market leader. So I'm going to show you and give an overview of this. Then after I've shown you the others, we'll get more in depth and we'll get into some real great features where you can set things up and how you can stylize images and change things up inside Midjourney, in painting, all kinds of things, lots and lots of fun. Okay, so Midjourney. Now you may see it like this. I've obviously got dark mode on. I'm just going to change it to light for a second. You'll probably land on it like this. And I think it's slightly friendlier for us to play with in light mode here. So I'm going to keep it on light mode. But of course, depending on what you have your system set as, you may see it dark, may see it light. So let me just run over this and we'll play with this, give you an overview. Here's what it will look like. This is the desktop version of Midjourney. For ages, we had Midjourney inside a Discord just like this, which if you're unfamiliar with Discord, think of it as like an online chat forum that you're able to then generate images inside Midjourney. However, it would take a lot more kind of prompting with things needed, a lot of technical stuff actually if you want to get this in certain formats, aspect ratios. So there is a great page here where it's desktop friendly and for you guys beginner friendly. There's not that bar to entry which somehow it felt like Discord had. You slightly had to be familiar with at least the platform layout, and it looks kind of complicated and scary when you first land on it, but now we are here. So if you go to midjourney.com, here's the Explore tab, Create tab, Organize, and such like. We'll go through all of these. So first, I guess let's go on the Explore tab. This is where, and you'll see images come up at the start of each one of my lectures that I've turned into videos. And lots of these have been inspired by what I've seen here on the Explore tab. And these are ones that have been upvoted by people inside the community. And you can get some really great ideas, inspiration. And if you like something, you can click on it and you can see the prompt that they were working on. Once again, a reminder back on our page, we do have in prompting, this was a while ago in the course now, so to remind you, if I go down to prompting and go down to prompts for AI image generation, under Midjourney here, there's a whole section about what's needed, what to include, what to avoid, as well as a link to the site here and some example prompts. But you can go in the Explore tab and you can see what people were saying. A majestic statue of a Vietnamese middle-aged hairless faced man, Vietnamese characteristics, etc. And you can see what it is they got to get this, and you can go through all of these and you can see if anything takes your fancy. Or sometimes when I'm looking at something, I go, oh, that's the style I wanted, this whimsical Christmas pure kind of look. What did they do to say this, to get this? What was their prompt? And it can be a great way for you to get inspiration and some learnings from that also. So this is your Explore tab. From here, you can also add a prompt and start generating inside here. And also you can start setting your image size, the mode you're using, but we don't need to know this today in this lecture. After I've gone through all the other ones here, the other tools following on, that'll be our first lecture to go through some of this, and you can start setting it to different aspect ratios, stylization, and all the rest of it. But just to show you, this is the Explore tab right here, and I would fully recommend going through and see what AI is possible, what's possible to do here, and what it struggles with. Although on this page, you won't see anything too bad, a bad generation if you like, because they've been upvoted. But some of these are incredible. From the animation style you can get all the way through to the ultra realism that you can get on here. Absolutely incredible. Look how nice the images are. Really beautiful, and some crazy stuff too. Fun to just go through. I could go through this for hours to see what other people are generating. So over on the left, there's also Create. This is your Create tab. You'll recognize some of these images from earlier lectures. And this is where you can create. And this is where they'll all be listed here. And you could scroll down and see all your creations. And then again, I'll talk about this more. You can go in and you can edit these inside the creation actions. But we get onto that later. There's Organize, which is where you'll put all these organization stuff right here, and then Personalize. I'm going to mention this in another lecture, but I don't like to use it. I haven't even set this up yet. You can start setting it so that basically you can personalize your experience. You basically go through lots of side-by-side images and start telling Midjourney which one you liked better, in order to start learning what it is that you as a creator are more inclined to like. That obviously has limitations when you're trying to create something that's outside of your personalized preference, although you can turn this on and off if you wanted to, which I'll get into that later. Also, other things here in the chat, you can get into prompt craft and you can get into understanding what people are using, general chaos, daily themes, stuff for newbies in here, which is lots of fun. And then tasks are about that for the community and also getting personalization, things like that. But as a creator, what you're really going to want is the Explore tab for inspiration and the Create tab. Now, let's go through this just systematically here in Midjourney without going into loads and loads of depth. And let's generate something. If I go back to our prompting page, I can see some prompts right here. Generate an image of a lone figure standing on a cliff. We did that one if you remember. Generate a whimsical image of a steampunk cityscape. Okay, we did that. So I don't want to reuse this. Let's use your time to see something else. And we're going to go systematically through this step by step and see what happens. So if I am on here and I just say monkey, one word, nothing else. Let's just see what it does when I say generate an image of a monkey. I gave it very little direction here, and you can see these images are very different in the composition, in the style, in the type of monkey that we've got, and they're not that cinematic. Maybe this one is slightly. If I play with this, I can scroll through them, just click and then use your side arrows to go through these, and you can see all the different variations. So anything will be generated with even the smallest amount of prompts. Now, if I want to go a close-up of a monkey's face, we're getting a little bit more. Let's generate that, and I'm going to generate a few things here. So let's go a cinematic image of a monkey, close-up of their face. Let's do that. And then a cinematic moody image of a monkey in a city scene, close-up of their face, nighttime shot. All right, let's compare these side by side. So I went from just monkey to close-up of a monkey's face. Definitely these are close-up. I think some of these are more like chimpanzees or gorillas. I don't want to get technical about the term monkey, chimpanzee, gorilla, but we'll get into that in a moment. So here are definitely all close-ups. Look at that, that's definitely a gorilla's face. That's really quite nice, apart from I'm not sure what's happening here. And this one, very cute. This is a cinematic image of a monkey, close-up of their face, as opposed to what I said close-up. So the difference here, I've said cinematic. So you've got some really dramatic lighting here, depth of field, which we spoke about. I haven't said that in my prompt, but cinematic kind of connotes that. You're going to use that cinematic lens, that filmic style lens. This also has that, see that blurred background and this really nice shot there. Cinematic also has this composition put to one side, that rule of thirds kind of thing. That third line is right here, if you're familiar with cinema terminology. Here's another and another, really nice. That could be the opening shot of a documentary, couldn't it, or movie. And then the last one here, I did a cinematic moody image of a monkey in a city scene, close up of their face, nighttime shot. So now it knows to do it nighttime. There's a blurred background that's like city. This one isn't so much, and nor is this, but this one and the last one was definitely kind of a cityscape. You see these lights in the background, and you could go further and further into that if you want to. I could start having more of these prompts. If I go back to the prompting, it says do include mood, setting, colors, style, descriptions. I just copy and paste that. Let me put that over to remind myself. So I'm going to just replace this with, let's change this and go urban, gritty, setting, futuristic, city, colors. Let's do neon colors, style, let's call it, and we did this on our styles page, if you remember. Right here on the styles page, there was blue hue and cyberpunk. So let's play with that. Let's call it cyberpunk. Now I've set up all of that. I haven't told it what the subject is. So I'm going to say a cinematic image of a, let's tell it a certain type of monkey that we want, or not a monkey. Actually, let's do a gorilla. A cinematic image of a gorilla in a city scene, urban, gritty, futuristic city, neon colors, cyberpunk. Let's play with that. Okay, let's have a look at some of these images. These are cool. Okay, so here is a definitely cyberpunk, neon colors gorilla. I'm not sure about he doesn't look too real, but that's okay. The setting's not too real. I like, this is pretty cool. What is that though? I'm not too sure. But you can see we're getting here, and look at the great variety and the realism, or the effects that the Midjourney allows you to do. You're going to see this compared to some other tools later, and how some struggle, where Midjourney has really led the market here with its image generation. Now the last thing I want to do, if I just want to, I'm just going to use this prompt. I'm going to show you how to do this in future lectures. So I'm going to use this prompt, but I'm going to say this time animated Pixar style. But then I've got something conflicting here. I've got cyberpunk, which let's see what Midjourney does and how it copes, because it's almost like I'm saying one style and another style. But I start with this, and it's somewhat of a little bit of a lead if I start my prompt with this as opposed to this. Let's generate that, and then I'm going to also use that prompt. I'm going to change that to call it ultra realistic. Put that side by side. And then I also want to do the same thing, and I'm just going to go animated, anime style, and let's compare these side by side. So if I go to this one, this was the animated Pixar style. Let's have a little look at these. Okay, yeah, if I zoom in and get this bigger, yeah, definitely we can see that I've got these kind of slightly more realistic than a Monsters Inc. kind of feel, but you can definitely see, oh, this one, like a Wreck-It Ralph style, you could see that probably could be a scene from that kind of movie. Yeah, definitely, and especially this one with this styling of his hair and things. Definitely got a Wreck-It Ralph kind of feel. So that was the Pixar style version. Now this one was ultra realistic cinematic. Yeah, so now we've got some great light coming off. If I zoom in here, great light coming off the lines in his face. The hair looks so real. This is really good. Count the number of fingers. Yeah, looks real. Almost giving us the middle finger here. Let's take a look at a few more in that realistic one. Wow, look at this. This is cool. This gets a little bit lost and you could just keep regenerating, but this and this composition looks really cool, and that does also. And then the final style that I said to it was, I want this to be animated anime style, and it struggled with this. Let me have a little look here. This is definitely not anime style. And what you would do, and you'll do this over and over again with all tools, all animating image creation generation tools. You'll see that you'll need to do various versions of this, and I'll show you how you can. I'm doing 4 at a time here. You could do 20 at a time, 40 images at a time to save yourself doing this. But let's play with that because I never like to lose here. Let's keep playing with this, and let's go animated anime style in the style of, so this is the director of, if you ever watch Spirited Away or anything. So I'm front loading it with animated anime style. Let me actually just take away animated in case it gets rid of that, and I'm going to actually, I'll see what this does before I add anything else. I'm going to take away the word cinematic here because I think there's some conflicting information. City scene, urban, gritty, futuristic city, neon colors, cyberpunk. Let's roll with that and see how that does. You'll find this, that sometimes your language and what you're using could be conflicting with inside your own prompt. So you have to be careful. Sometimes if you're trying to get an animated image and you say cinematic, it might be trying to pull from realism when it thinks that's what cinematic connotes, as opposed to animated or anime, which you could have a cinematic anime for sure. And we've all watched those movies, but it's what it has learned, obviously, hasn't it? So let's keep playing with this. Okay, getting closer, not with this image, or this image, but here right now, we're getting far closer here. I'm just gonna do something I'm gonna teach you later. I'm gonna get some more versions of this based on this style. And I mean, I've never seen really a cyberpunk anime, so I'm creating perhaps a new genre here. I'm sure some exist, and some of you students could tell me there were some great ones actually, but I'm mixing this anime style, Japanese animated style with cyberpunk. Pretty cool, I would watch that. So let's run another version based on the closest generation I think I got here and see what it does. Okay, now I'm getting closer. Look at this. I'll make these bigger. You can see that we're definitely getting closer right here to an anime style in cyberpunk. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. So this was Midjourney, and you can go and jump in right at the deep end and just start playing with this. Just start putting things in. After the next 5-6 lectures or whatever, we're going to come back here to Midjourney, and I'm going to get very in depth with showing you how to use a lot of these tools along the edge here, how to use these tools so we can do some editing. I can do some in painting, and I can be saying change this to whatever I want to, and we can get really technical using this. But I'm going to show you some other tools first, just in case you have a preference to use one of those. By all means, go and use them, or sometimes I use multiple tools to compare them side by side. Although Midjourney is my favorite, it might not be yours. So in the next lecture, we're going to take a look at another tool. This was Midjourney overview. I'll see you back here in Midjourney in several lectures time. We're going to look at DALL-E, which is part of OpenAI, which you'll probably recognize from ChatGPT, and that's exactly where we're going to go into to use this. This is the first of several tools here. We've got DALL-E, Gemini, Stable, as well as Dream Studio. Adobe Firefly, I'm also going to show you a bit of Photoshop with that. And then we've got Runway, which we use for video a lot in the next section, Meta, Grok. There's lots to be showing you, and we'll go through these like overviews of these platforms and any more over the course of the months, years that I think need to be added. These are definitely image generation tools of note, things that ones you probably want to use and I think will be around for a long time, some free, some paid. Let's start with DALL-E, shall we? We've already looked at Midjourney and did an overview. To get there, now you can go to openai.com. It's surprising sometimes how difficult it is to find the actual AI tool for these, because some of them, like Stable Diffusion, are used by lots of different platforms, so finding the actual site is sometimes difficult. But on the page, AI image generation, the page we've been going to be using for this section, if you scroll down underneath all of these at the bottom, there is a working link to every single one just to make it easier for you. Some of these lectures are going to be shorter, some longer, some there's not a lot to show you, some it goes quite in depth. So DALL-E, let's click open in ChatGPT and it opens here. I think the best way to show you this is I'll give you a quick overview of what it looks like, exactly like ChatGPT, except you can upload image here, which you probably wouldn't be using unless you were asking ChatGPT, what is this? But this is what it looks like, and it's very, very easy to use. Unlike other tools that we've just seen in Midjourney, this is very much chat-based, back and forward, as opposed to instruction-based Midjourney. So let me go onto our page and let's just grab, actually, while I'm in DALL-E, let's go and grab one of our prompts. I already did a vintage robot. Let's do a futuristic skyline at sunset, high detail, neon colors, cinematic perspective. Okay, that sounds really nice. Let's do that and let's go in. Let's just paste that in. And I think the best way to show you is to do it, and then we'll go through tools and things that you can do. So you can see what you get generated inside here is one image, unlike where you get the fourfold inside Midjourney. You'll see some other tools do that too. Now I can click on this image. Before that, I can copy it, I can rate it to help them out. I can read aloud.
Here is the cinematic depiction of a futuristic city skyline at sunset with high detail and vibrant neon colors. Let me know if you'd like any changes or enhancements.
Okay, thanks, DALL-E. Really appreciate it. So it's a really nice looking image. Let me make that bigger for you. Really good looking. Look at these colors. Wow, that is really nice coming through. For this prompt also, this is really good. All these, here's like, it's gone ahead and done, rather than have trees because we were in a city, it's actually generated like holographic trees, as if that's what people have in the future. And this light coming in with the sunset and then lying down here, this is a really nice image. Now there's some things we can do here. If I just close that while I'm in here, if I want to, I could download up on this button here, or I could reprompt again if I need to by just doing the same prompt over. Now, when you come into here is where you're going to get some of the more advanced tools, although now we've looked at Midjourney, none of this will look crazy advanced. If I click on this, I'll hover over it, just called the select tool. I can take this and I could do things like, let's do this, let's get rid of that. So let me just put in remove and let's run that. And now when there's updates right here over here on the chat, you can see if I click this, that's removed exactly what I wanted to do. Let's try something else. If I put in right here and I say, I want now a giant bird. That's all I'm giving it, not a lot of information, no color, anything like that. Let's hit run and let me just see if it can add something as opposed to remove and how accurate that is. Okay, let's have a little look at that. Looks like it's done nothing right here, absolutely nothing. You'll find this with all AI tools as we're doing in painting. Midjourney, my favorite, is no exception. You may have to do multiple iterations or try some different wording. I'm going to try that again. Let's do it here, and I'm just going to put a bird flying in the sky. Oh, make sure I am correcting that. Okay. Oh, I still did brid instead of bird, typo, but AI should be able to understand what I mean. I've now done, I did several more attempts at trying to in-paint and add that, and it didn't. What this is good at, ChatGPT, is removing things. You saw that flawlessly, effortlessly. If I go back to the first one right away, the sky looks better. Removing, in-painting to add something is not great using the select tool. But let's see if I take this image here, and I'm going to ask it to change completely now, or somewhat. Let's see if it's any good at that. So I'm going to say, change this image to nighttime black sky. Okay, much better as opposed to in painting. Let me click that. Apart from it's added, looks like it's got some, I don't know what this is, like computer screen and grid effect, and it didn't change it completely. It's like it misread some of this and added some more buildings, but you could do it again and again and again. So it did understand, and that's the base of a conversational based AI model like ChatGPT, OpenAI is, and the greatness that you can use it with images. So if you're more prone to want to use a chat-based back and forward model, then this is definitely that, as opposed to instructional based models like we've been playing with in Midjourney. Now the other thing, of course, as opposed to inside Midjourney or lots of the other models I'm going to be showing you, you don't select here the orientation, you tell it. So when I ask for, let's do another one while I'm on here, shall we? Let's do a surreal underwater scene, mystical lighting. Let's take that one. Let me paste that in, and then I'm going to say aspect ratio 1:1. So I want a square image as opposed to this one, which is 16:9. I want a square image. So it definitely understood, as opposed to selecting a setting here to tell it. I can just tell it in conversation, put this in a 1:1 aspect ratio. Here's a surreal underwater scene featuring floating castles, giant jellyfish with mystical lighting, dreamlike atmosphere. It definitely did that. DALL-E is actually very good at understanding what you mean. Most of the time, what it faults, if it has faults, it's the ink painting tool and being able to change this. But now I'm going to have instructions on here. Let me just do this, and instead of trying to in paint and select, let's just say add birds to the sky, and let's see what it does. Okay, so it slightly changed the image quite a lot. What OpenAI is great for is if you are not needing the finest amount of continuity between shots. If I'm just trying to generate an image for advertising or something, then great. But if I'm looking to turn this into video and have a movie that has continuity between it and characters and things like that, it's much less collaborative with the regards of being able to store a person, image people, and be able to generate images to make video eventually, like you're going to see we do with Midjourney and some other tools. But it is still a great tool. It really has some nice images. It's just going to be depending on the purpose of what you want it for. Super easy to use. Already with ChatGPT, if you haven't used ChatGPT, just make sure you say give me an image, and it's really good. Now I need to show you all these tools. That's good, the bad, the ugly, because I don't know what everyone watching this course, some people are going to be wanting to make movies in the same way as I am. Some people are going to just want to make really short 15-second, 5-second even ads where you just need a single image or several images and you don't need continuity behind it. So ChatGPT can definitely do that. And by the way, if I call DALL-E ChatGPT because it's part of OpenAI, you know exactly what I mean. A lot of people do that. So head back over onto site, and then I'm just going to go through some of these noteworthy points that are on here. Aspect ratio, so you don't directly select the ratio like I said, like AR, like we might do if you were inside some other platform or select it. You can just tell it, I want it in 69 like you saw me do. DALL-E, you can also tell it I want high detail, I want it realistic, I want it in whatever style you want. You can also do with the lighting, composition terms. You can also say close-ups, things like this. In painting tool, now we've already played with that and it does have some problems and some issues, but it is very good at removing and getting a realistic background. Some other tools you'll see, you try and remove something and it doesn't look so clear. It is good for that. Like I mentioned, that we've already got, if I want oil painting or I want clay motion, watercolor, that's perfect. Negative prompts also work. I could say no birds in a shot, for example, and we'd make sure that it didn't have it. Something that sometimes, unless I use the prompt in Midjourney, it can struggle with, and understands moods very well. You saw inside this image how the mood is definitely mystical. It's very good at understanding that. Let me just do one more generation. Let's go. You guys didn't see this earlier, but I was playing with my prompts that I was creating on site for you guys. So a vintage robot playing chess in a cozy library, warm lighting. I want to do that, and then I'm going to do the exact same one in the style of watercolor painting. and let's compare these. Okay, so let's compare these side by side. Here is the warm lit futuristic robot playing. I don't know if it's that futuristic. I would run this again and again. Playing chess, and the chess pieces look pretty good. Almost horses though, where the king and queen are. King, queen here, but there's 3 of them. So unless they've taken their, but they've got 4 pieces right here plus another one. So you might want to start playing and regenerating this. And then in the watercolor painting style, so it's giving me the edge right here, and perhaps we can get some watercolor base here. And yeah, it's definitely illustrative for sure. If I just zoom in here, it's definitely got an illustration, storybook type feel. So yeah, I guess we'd say watercolor, but it's not washy color watercolor like perhaps you were imagining, which you could just tell it to reiterate again and again and again. So where DALL-E is good at is it is very responsive to the styles that you were saying. Actually, I'm going to play with one more. I'm absolutely obsessed with AI and image and video generation. I could be here. In fact, I've lost many days just playing with it just to see what else I can get and generate. So in the style of anime. Okay, let's have a look into this. So yeah, I've definitely got more of a comic book, perhaps more illustrative than anime, but perhaps actually, yeah, actually he's done a very good job. The more I look at it, the more I look at all the details. Yeah, good. Okay, so I needed to show you that. I'm showing you all of these. It's not my favorite image generation tool. It's not going to tear me away from Midjourney just yet. And I think that if you keep watching this, you'll probably think the same. If your purpose is to make AI video and have full control of scenes and shots based on image production first, but you may have a completely different purpose. So that was DALL-E. Next, let's have a look at Gemini. Moving on, I'm going to show you Gemini right here. Now, this is probably one of my least favorite, as well as ChatGPT I just showed you, one of my least favorite, perhaps also Meta, and Grok's pretty cool with its results, but as far as usability goes, I think that Gemini is probably one of my least favorite, but it is free, so I'm going to show you all the options that I think are going to be around, and of course it all depends on your budget, your project, and what it is that you might like. So I'm going to go over this just quickly. It really won't take long. Quick lecture showing you Gemini. Once again, go back over to your page, aivideo.school/AI-image-generation. You have access to this page, and if I just do the drop down on Gemini, it shows you one at the bottom here is the official page for you to just click through and access it, and also some details about Gemini right here. There's less you'll see than if I go to Stable Diffusion, and there's like step-by-step stuff you can do with the interface, but Gemini doesn't have that much to it. So it's a lot easier to use. Some people prefer it because of that. Also, if you're looking for a one-stop shop, Gemini, as I've shown you in the previous sections, can do things like you could generate your script just like ChatGPT. You can ask it for ideas and stuff, as well as generate images. So you could have it all as one place if you want to keep everything neat in one tool. But you do have a lot less options when you're creating video for specializing and really drilling down on images and consistency between images, also if you're creating characters. But let's copy some of the prompts that we have here. Let's do a portrait of a young woman, detailed textures. There we go. Let's go with that one. I'm going to say generate an image of, and I'm just going to paste that in. So I do this because obviously I could ask it lots of different things just to let Gemini know that I want an image. Punch that in and wait. Oh, I've just got this up here. I forgot this about Gemini, that sometimes, although this isn't always, because I've definitely generated people inside this before, sometimes you do get some weird prompts with Gemini, I find. I have to go try Gemini Advanced, so I can show you that just quickly. If I want to generate people, now there's a cost of that, of course. The whole idea of me showing you this is because I want to show you a free model with Gemini. If you're paying, you might as well use something like Midjourney that I'm showing you later and have been showing you already. So I'm going to show you the free version. That means you're going to be limited with your prompts, but perhaps you just want to do city scenes or something. Perhaps you just want to do images that don't involve people, and that's what you need for your project. So let's do that. An enchanted forest with glowing flowers, misty atmosphere, magical light inspired by fantasy art. Let's do that one. So generate me an image of, let's paste that in. Okay, and here is the result. Let me click and take a closer look at that. Yeah, definitely got exactly what I want. Fantasy art, mystical forest, everything in there that you asked for. The option here to download, obviously, but there's not a lot of options for if I want to edit this at all. There's really just copy, report it, I can share it, tell it it's good and bad, and that's pretty much it. It's all going to have to be, unless you're on the advanced mode, which then I'm not even going to show you and subscribe for, because you might as well use for the cost of it. Also, one of the better models that are specifically for image, as opposed to this, which is an all broad range conversation AI platform. But we can do things like, let me just copy that last paste, that last prompt. Let me add that in here, and let me just say aspect ratio 16:9 landscape, just so it knows, and let's see what it does. Okay, let's take a look. It actually didn't generate it in 16:9. That's really strange. It did it in 1:1, whereas the last image generation, let me see this, oh, also 1:1. That's strange. You'll find this with Gemini, and also even more so with Meta, when you go to generate things, that they ignore your prompt for size. What do you want? I think maybe because Meta, when you go on Facebook, where 1:1 is more popular. But let's see if I can do this again. A 16:9 landscape image of a forest. Let's keep it real basic, and I'm going to start with the scale right at the start. Once again, 1:1, you're just limited with the options right here on Gemini. You can keep playing and playing and prompt, and you could maybe get down to it eventually. But really, unless you're really struggling to find a model and you wanted it all in one, and you don't want to pay for a budget, then maybe that's it. Let me just download this for a second. I always like to, and oh, that's quite a big image. Yeah, just have a look at the quality that it does on the full download. It's not bad, actually. Pretty good. Some details here. I could definitely up-res this with another tool. I will show you exactly that later in the course. Now what you can do, if I click upload image right here and just upload that image we just downloaded, or of course you could be using an image that you found elsewhere. Again, it might be a bit funny with people or famous people or something. We take that forest scene that we have here that's kind of at dusk, sunset. I'm going to say make this image of a forest bright daylight. Okay, it's done, and let's have a look. Yeah, the exact same. Let's have a look. This forest scene, and then the one they've just generated for me there, the exact same forest scene but daylight. So Gemini is good at responding to prompts inside the chat, as opposed to if you were to set these like we showed you in Midjourney, in other places. It does respond well. Struggles with aspect ratio, you would struggle with people, you would struggle with continuity between scenes and things if you're making a video. But it is a tool, it is free, and perhaps if your projects just need landscape images or product images also. Also, if I generate this again, I've just seen that this time, didn't do it the first time, I've got different versions right here. Okay, this one right there, this one right here, fairly similar, and the first draft isn't loading. And I can say regenerate these drafts. So here it is, here's draft 2, much greener, brighter. Here's draft 3, much more natural daylight in here, and draft 1 never seems to load, a bit glitchy there from Gemini. But yeah, if you wanted to use this for things like products, or if you just needed landscape imagery, it's a free tool and in 1:1. So if you're doing it for social medias, TikTok, Facebook or something, you could be asking for a product like an image of a futuristic iPhone. Oh, typo. And perhaps you're making like a mock ad for the new iPhone that's coming out, or like a futuristic phone or something. You know, these fun projects that I've seen online, you could definitely get it to generate you stuff like that for products if you wanted to. But like I mentioned, one of my least favorite. And now we go on to maybe my second or third favorite image creation tool. We're going to talk about Stable Diffusion. Next AI tool I want to show you is, unlike Gemini and DALL-E, is actually specifically for AI models. It's known for image and also video and audio and things. You can see the options here. If you need to come to there, go back to our page, aivideo.school/AI image generation. And from all the drop downs, you can see how to get to all the different tools here. And then if in Stable Diffusion, just do the drop down menu at the bottom, you can go to the website. Now, first I have to tell you, there is a free trial of this for 3 days, but with limited number of credits. You can go ahead and play with this and you can see if it's something you like and what you think about it before you commit. I think it's $10.80. Let me actually just go through all the different subscriptions I can show you here. So monthly, there's a $9 a month for 900 credits, $19 a month, $49, 5,500 credits, or a huge one with 12,000 credits. So it's completely up to you what it is that you need. Now, unlike those other tools where I showed you with DALL-E and Gemini, which are more those chat-based ChatGPT style, this is actually somewhere in between. Actually, it's not quite as technical to use or as scary sometimes people think as Midjourney, which is why Midjourney have made a browser version over their Discord channel. But it is definitely more catered towards AI image, video, audio. A lot of people love this and it's their go-to more than Midjourney. So probably this is going to be the next step for you if you don't like Midjourney to use Stable Diffusion. But let's have a little play and go with things. So for this, I'm going to go for image. We'll check out video in the next section for Stable Diffusion. Let's go to image. It's going to give me some details about image generation, etc. Okay, let's try it. If I go back onto our page, I can see all the details it's telling me here that we've made for you about Stable Diffusion, what it's about, the ideal prompts for it. I can copy this prompt right here, number 3. Let's go back into Stable Diffusion. Let's go to this, and I'm just going to put this in for now. So, portrait of an elderly man, deep wrinkles, soft lighting, hyper detailed realism, 35mm film style. Let's put that in, and we're just going to play with this, and I'll show you what all the other features are for editing and where everything else is on the page, and we'll follow along after I've generated you an image to have a look at. Okay, that was quick. Stable Diffusion is quick. Let me take a look at this. Ultra realism, yeah, it made me this older gentleman in this really cool black background look with some really deep wrinkles, just like I said. That's a nice image. It really is. Now, what can I do with this image inside Stable Diffusion? It's 1.1. Let's first go to our description panel right here where we would prompt, and I can go over here and I can do things like I can adjust the aspect ratio right here. So widescreen 3:2, 1:1, 4:5, 16:9. So right now it's obviously doing this for me. I want to just go widescreen for that. I can also come over here and go to the style palette. This is actually really cool. So what you can do is you can upload images. For example, if I had images, let me just do one for you. Okay, so this is an image I've just uploaded. Make sure that's selected, click confirm, and I'll see it right here. This is actually an image AI made of me, or what it thinks I look like if I was AI generated. Much more handsome than I am. They're very flattering. So I can put that in here, and I can now ask it for the same thing if I paste it in. Portrait of an elderly man, deep wrinkles, soft lighting, realism, put that in, and now it's going to be using, you can't do things like say the weight of what I wanted, but it's going to be using this as a guide for the image it's going to create to me. We're going to see lots of this inside Midjourney where we can use images and styling, and we can tell it I wanted to have this composition, I wanted to have this like color style or lighting or whatever based on other images that I have, which you can get from offline, or you could generate them yourself, which are really handy tools when you're trying to get images in a certain style. Okay, yeah, so I can definitely see 16:9 as opposed to this version right here. What I've done is I've told it to, if I show you the actual image, if I just grab it here. So this is the image I uploaded right there. Let me just move that to the side. And this is the image that is generated. So you can see it's actually used the background almost right here that I've used. Is put center. It's got the same very similar lighting right here. I've lost some of say the deep wrinkles that I asked for and things, but it's using this image as a reference for everything from the lighting, perhaps sometimes even the character. You saw before it generated an Asian man, and now it's generated this white guy. So it could be me in the future, what AI thinks. So that's how you use that tool. And if I come back over, just to remind you to follow this through, if you want to, you can go through these step by step, and that's probably how I'm going to teach you this platform to start using different elements on this page. So we showed aspect ratio right there, which was this button right here. And then if I go to the next point, using the paint palette icon, you can either upload an image if you don't have any generated images, or select generated images in the style you have. Think of this as your style guide. That's exactly what this is. The paint palette, I can upload and I can say, I want it in this style of this one, or you can upload 100 images, for example. I don't know if there's an amount here, but say you upload 10 images, all in styles you've seen online, and you select them all. Now, when you're creating, it's definitely going to use that style, which is great. We'll also see something like this in Adobe Firefly later. And the great thing about them is they have their own catalog inside Adobe Firefly, but you can upload your own images from wherever you want. Now, the next tool I want to show you, if I go down the list so you can follow along, generate another image quickly. To quickly generate, you can click quick generate right here, which is here. If I hover over, generate another image, and also reinvent your image. So first, let's generate another image. What I quite like about it is inside here, your prompt bar right there is you can see the image that it's using to regenerate. So whenever you're doing something, if you're meant to use something as an example image that you're using as your style guide and it's not here, and you've wondered why it generated something peculiar that looked nothing like it, probably wasn't selected if it's not shown here in your bar. Okay, and then we have our other version right here. Let me just click. Yeah, that's nice. Let's actually just take a little look in. Let's have a look. Yeah, look how nice this hair is on here. It goes on the side. That's definitely what I'm getting right now. And the detail is really nice. Stubble, just like the image that I showed it of myself. So yeah, that really, really works well. So then if I go onto here, I can reinvent your image. So if I click this button right here, there are 3 options for us to choose for. So a new image with the same style. Let's just go through this and fully check it out. So a new image with the same style. I'm taking this away. I'm just going to say an elderly woman. I'm not giving it much here for the sake of this tutorial, but you can see right here what will happen. Okay, and here is the image here. Let's bring that up. Really nice. So you can see background, center, lighting, everything is using the exact same style as this. So it's a lot like you're going to see later when we're inside here. If I wanted this image, for example, to be in the same style, I would click here. You'll see that in Midjourney later. Lots of these tools have that. We haven't seen that so far in Gemini and in DALL-E, and you won't see it in things like Meta or Grok, but it is here because this is a proper AI image creation and video, but a proper tool. So you're going to see the difference between these and those other AI tools that just generate images when you want to do them for fun. But we're serious AI image generators here. So the next one, if I just do the same thing. Oh, I realized I skipped ahead there. If I cover over here, reinvent, use the latest new image with the same style, which is very similar to when I said generate another version. I just click this here and I'm getting another image in the same style, but we pretty much got the same thing when we just used generate another version right here. And then it was the 3 dots that I just showed you here, reinvent with other settings. So that first one we showed you here, let's do another. The first one was a new image with the same style. Let's do a new image with the same structure. Let's copy that. So this time I could have the same thing, same structure, same everything. This time I want it in anime style, I could say. Or let me just say, for example, this, let's go comic book style, and let's confirm and let's run that. Okay, that's finished here and we've got a comic book style. Let me just click in. Yeah, somewhat comic book style, more like they've done realism here and then put like a filter around here, like an outline. You can do this kind of thing in Photoshop, not so much comic book style. Also had a man here and we use this one, maybe because it's referencing this original image right here. Let's do that again. Actually, let's do it with this one, and this time I'm going to say in anime style. Let's confirm that. Okay, let's have a look here. Let's say, yeah, it could be like modern anime. I guess we could be seeing that, but we've got far too much textures in the skin here, I think, to be true anime. So not perfect, but that's what you'll find with AI images. You will just have to regenerate and regenerate this. If I click that again, I can just regenerate. I love to play with AI, all different models. I'm constantly Every week when I see a new one come out, I test them, play with them. I really love it. I could spend hours and hours doing it. And now I'm showing you the top ones I think that are going to stick around for a while, so we can continue and just keep playing with this. I could lose days just generating images to see what different platforms do. And now look, when I regenerated that again, now we're getting more anime style for sure. See, there's less texture in the skin, still slightly too much realism for my liking, but it's even adding things like anime, obviously manga, the Japanese predominantly animation style, and we definitely look way more anime there. So you could just keep regenerating and regenerating. You'll see that's something that we have to do inside all these AI models to get exactly what we want. So the last one under these I want to do is sketch to image, which is good. So if I want to, we can turn this into, let's say, a painting, or I like doing stuff like a pencil sketch, and we can add that pencil sketch, and we can confirm. All right, let's take a little look at that now that's done. Yeah, it's definitely a pencil sketch. It looks more like, this looks like noise background from a old TV, doesn't it? Rather than like a sketch. To sketch that with all these dots, that would take forever. I don't think that's quite right. But let's just regenerate that again, and let's see what happens when we do it one more time. Okay, now we're getting more of a pencil sketch, I think. I think so, and that's pretty much the same person. I think that is, yeah, slightly older, maybe looks a little bit, maybe that's just the style, but not quite pencil sketch. There's no pencil lines or anything. Very good pencil sketch, but you get the idea. Now what happens if I combine things? For example, if I don't know, let's download this right here. Actually, I don't even need to download it. If I come into my palette right here, everything you've generated in here. So if I select this, and we know we're using this as a style guide, I think it should also take some of the person. Let's confirm. So this person is now in my bar right here, and we can now go, let's go sketch to image, and I want this as a painting. Let's confirm and see if I get the exact same pretty much guy with a painting. Here we are, let's take a little look. Yes, it's using the same guy right here between the two as an oil painting. So that's how you can get consistency between characters. And if I look through, definitely got some painting right here, definitely in the background. Very, very good painting, but it's giving me the feel for sure. Now, let's come back to the page. The last big thing I want to show you is toolbox here. Use toolbox. The toolbox icon of generated images allow you to directly edit the image to upscale, in paint, erase parts, replace background, zoom out, loads in here. This is where you're going to be doing lots of your work to be changing the image. So let's say I've got one. Let's choose one that I'm happy with. I like this woman here. Let's open the toolbox, and now I've got these 5 choices. We'll just go through them. I'll go to in paint right here. Now in paint isn't always 100%. I found you do this in a lot of AI models. You may have to do it time and time again, but if I just grab the shoulder here, let's in paint this size right here. I'm just going to go up here and go a small yellow bird. So it's going to be on her shoulder. Let's just add that in right there. Let's confirm, and now it's generated and it's done nothing. We're going to see that time and time again with what happens with AI, which is kind of frustrating. Let's just adjust the brush size so it's easier. Let's do this. Let's adjust the brush size. Okay, let's select this. Let me just do this. Let's give it a bit more detail and see if it makes a difference. A small yellow bird on her shoulder. Let's generate that, and if not, I'm going to try with just the word bird. Okay, this time, because I put in her shoulder, we are getting, yeah, definitely there's some kind of budgie or bird on her shoulder, and you could, now that's on there, I could just go, okay, let's get another version of this, and we can see side by side what it does this time. Okay, this one is better. Look at this one right here with the bird on her shoulder, although the feet are lost slightly. So we can actually take this image right here, and let's try one of our next tools. Let's go into toolbox right there, and I could probably go to in paint right there. Let's just be like that. Now what I do in Midjourney that I haven't tried here is I just say fix feet. I do this, you'll see me in Midjourney all the time. If they've got too many fingers, which is common with AI, I say fix hand, and it manages to fix it pretty much first go. So let's see what happens if I just say fix feet inside Stable Diffusion for a direct comparison to something I use a lot in Midjourney. Okay, let's have a look. I didn't tell it exactly what to do. Okay, it's like lifted up 1 foot, but that one's still hovering. You'd have to go in and play with that quite a bit. Or if I was to use, I don't know, let's go back into here. We can start mixing stuff up again. I can do this confirm selection, and I can say an elderly woman facing camera with a small yellow bird on her shoulder. Let's hit that. Okay, let's see. But okay, this one's flat and this one they've lifted it. So yep, this kind of works a little bit better. Great. So you could just do it directly like that. Once you've started generating and fixing, you could, but it's not the same woman for sure. So let's just go this, and I'm just going to clear my selection and confirm just to make sure there's nothing in the bar, nothing interfering. So now we can go back onto the toolbox. Sorry, let's click here and let's go. Let me show you next. Let's do erase, the exact opposite right here. Let me just erase the bird like that and confirm. Here we go. That was super quick, that one, and it has perfectly removed the bird. Brilliant. Exactly what we wanted. Next tool I want to show you inside this is let's replace the background. So replace the background with a description, or I could use a reference image. So if I wanted to upload an image of, say, the jungle or forest or a desert or something, or I can describe it. Let's actually do in the jungle and adjust the subject and lighting. This is a really good thing here. The lighting changes, do that. If you take it off, it might look like the character's not there, but perhaps that's what you want. Let's click confirm. And now we've seen this woman, this poor woman. You can see the lighting's changed ever so slightly. Still got the same shadow right here and here, but it's definitely a different tone to it. And now the poor woman is inside the jungle. Stable Diffusion does do a really good job at this, perhaps better. I think sometimes the Midjourney trying to change the background isn't always that easy. Stable Diffusion is really good at that. So next, I guess I want to do a few more. Remove background, confirm. While I'm here, I could punch out a few more. Let's go to search and recolor. I want to recolor her shirt, and let's make it pink. Confirm. Stay with that first original image, upscale it, confirm. Let's try search and replace. So what do you want to replace? The background with space? No, what if I want to replace her hair with a hat? Okay, confirm. Let's have a look at some of these generations. So this one was removing the background. Done a really nice job. It's a bit jagged here, I think, if I zoom in. Not great, but a pretty good job. You could take this away to another platform and just neaten up this cutout if you wanted to. Pretty good job it's done there. And then I've changed her shirt to pink. Super easy. That's so much easier than if anyone here has ever gone into Photoshop or something and then you tried to change the image color of, oh, such a nightmare. So that makes it a lot easier. This one was for me to upscale it. So the image quality for this one compared to, say, the original, let's have a look just quickly. Yeah, you can definitely see there's more detail here, slightly more vivid almost, it feels also. But there's some great detail. Look at the line, look at the lines around her eyes. If I zoom in, you can see the detail in hair is still kept. That's really nice. And this, look, even like the effect in her skin right there, this gets a little bit more like a painting, but that doesn't quite match. Pretty damn good. And around the mouth here, really nice, really nice. So that's how you do that. And then I replaced her hair with a hat. I didn't give any description of a hat, and it's done exactly that. The toolbox feature in Stable Diffusion is really good. It does what it exactly says. So many times you'll see in other tools, Midjourney included, you may do multiple generations, iterations, because it didn't quite do what you wanted to. But Stable Diffusion seems to be, and they have some bold statements on their site about it being the leading tool all around. And it really does give you a lot of bang for your buck. We're going to compare this directly to Midjourney at the end when I show you some more features in there. I'm just going to show you image to video. Let's confirm. Now, I don't give it any instructions on what happens, but if you just needed to animate something, I've seen people do this with memes. They drop a meme in and animate it and see what happens and just run it again and again and again. A super easy way to generate a video if you don't need any particular direction. Let's have a look at that. Okay, let's have a look at this. Not great. not great in comparison to Runway. I'm going to show you where we get far more direction. So the camera kind of zooms up and our face melts. If that's what you were going for, great, but it isn't really what I would be using. I would not be using this tool, but Stable Diffusion does have its own video generation inside here. Rather than going from image like that, you can have much more control. I'll show you that in the video section, which is the next section of the course, but that's not great. But Stable Diffusion is a great model. I think this Stable Diffusion and then Midjourney are the two leading tools. We're going to see Dream Studio that uses Stability AI, uses Stable Diffusion in the next one, but perhaps you like this platform and a few less controls and the price for this one more than Stable Diffusion directly, but it's a market leader alongside Midjourney. And then also, I guess, for video creation, it stacks up against Pika, Hedra, Luma, and but not quite Runway ML yet, and Sora when it's released. So it is a very, very good tool. It could be one, if you're not wanting to use Midjourney, you could definitely use this. But once again, go back over to here, and if you are lost with any of that, that's the longest, probably, yeah, definitely this section. That is the longest overview video I'm going to give you on a tool. We've got a few directly on Midjourney when we get into that, but these next ones, Dream Studio, Firefly, and then Runway for image, Meta, and Grok especially, are going to be a lot less in depth and a lot less need to talk about because they have a lot less features to go through. So that was an overview of Stable Diffusion. Let's go into Dream Studio next and check that out. The next tool I want to show you is Dream Studio. Now, the eagle-eyed ones of you will say up here, it says buy Stability AI, and we've just been playing with Stability AI, haven't we? Yes, I want to show you this tool because there are a lot of AI tools out there that are sort of, think of it as a white label, are using another. In fact, I have an app towards the end of this section that uses 8 or so, I think it is right now, different AI models to kind of culminate everything into one result. And what Dream Studio does, it uses Stability AI, but it has a very different layout. I want to show you this because there are some differences with regard perhaps cost, packages, and also just overall layout. There are some fewer features, but said in a different way. Some people like this interface a lot better, and it got voted very high up on the AI models that people like to use for images. So it's my duty to show you this. Perhaps it'll be your AI model of choice. So under the website, once again, under our page, AI Video School / AI Image Generation, if I just scroll back up here, we can see Dream Studio. Use the drop down if you want to go to the site. It's linked right there. And then also, I have details all about Dream Studio as usual, ideal prompts, and we'll test some of these prompts shortly. And then also here, there are basically the rundowns of what you can do step by step if you want to follow along. And I'll probably use this model step by step as we go through understanding Dream Studio. So let me just go back to the Dream Studio page. It's a very simple interface that looks like this. You pretty much go, if you want to, it's divided up quite nicely, I think, for usability. Either generate or edit. Edit when I have an image after I've selected it, or generate if you want to generate something. The first thing you do here, and rather than have to have it in a prompt, so you don't have to say in the style of cyberpunk or whatever it is that you want, you can go through and you can choose your style. So do I want to enhance image, on anime, photography, digital art, comic book, analog film, clay motion's quite good, cinematic, that's basically deep focus. Let's go with that one for now. So it's cinematic, a prompt, I'm going to just choose one right here, close up portrait of an owl, dramatic lighting, great stuff. Okay, so I'm putting that on here, and then I'll just generate that actually, and then we'll continue on with the prompts. Let's just leave all these as they are as standard. Let's dream. Nice, and these are my results. It's actually quite quick, Dream Studio. So you can see by the aspect ratio we didn't change anything. Let me just bring all these up here for you to have a look. Great, here's the image size. Nice, look at that depth of field there. The feathers look pretty good, not too detailed here, but the eyes, look at the reflection in the eye, really good. Here's some nice bits, especially with the feathers. You'd definitely pass it as real, wouldn't you? You'd say this was beautiful photography, wildlife photography. Really, really great. So you might have noticed up here, it's got my credits and what's moving down. So let's go into this. And Dream Studio works on a credit-based system where you can see the number of credits going down to generate those. That's taken, it was on 25, so it's taken just under 5 credits, and I can buy 1,000 for $10. I can go down and do $5. I think you can't go oh, you can go all the way down to $1 for 100 credits. So if you want to try this out, then you can without spending too much money. Okay, really nice. Now, if I go down here, I can go negative prompt and we can do some of this. So would you want to avoid anything? Negative prompt, no yellow. We saw there's lots of yellow in this, including the eyes. So let's go with that. You can also upload an image to create variations of. We'll come back to that in a moment. 1.1 was how we had it here. I can scroll across either way, so I can go tall, you can see the logo here, towards the tall version for say Instagram, TikTok, or across for video, YouTube and such like. How many image variations of this do you want? You can go all the way up to getting 10 variations, of course that use more credits, or down to 1. There's also advanced features right here. If I scroll down, you can tell it different, the width, for example, if I wanted to manually set this. And then let's go back up to, well, actually, let me generate that first and then we'll come back up to upload an image. Let's see it basically doing it now with the new aspect ratio, the new image count, and I've used the negative prompt Dream. Perfect. And you saw my credits go down there from 1.2. So we're looking at 1.2 credits per image generation. Let me open that up here. Now I said no yellow. It's definitely got less yellow than perhaps some of the other ones here. Because yellow here, still got yellow in the eyes right there. Okay, but we can try something else. I want to get that negative prompt right. So let me go majestic mountain landscape, sunrise, panoramic view. Let me go back to Dream Studio. I'm going to use that as my prompt. I might as well change it cinematic, digital art, comic book might be nice. Let's try comic book. And then I'm also going to have a negative prompt. So majestic mountain landscape at sunrise, vibrant colors. And so I want no trees in the shot, okay, which it would definitely have put in if I didn't do it. So let's see if it's able to respond to this properly. Nice, brilliant. So this is done in comic book style. There are definitely no trees in shot. We've got a bit of grass here, it looks like, but no trees. Perfect. Let me just actually do that. If I take that out, but it may remember based on what I've done previously, but let's dream that and see if it puts any trees in here. It might not again, but if you didn't want them, definitely wouldn't. But you're going to see obviously how you'd use that. Oh no, it definitely had trees in there. I knew it would, and we said no trees, so you can see the negative prompt is working there. So let me just download that for a second, and I'm going to use that image. If I upload an image right here, I'll download the one we had right there. That's the image that we have. Image strength now you can choose. So how much do I want to have the image strength? Is it going to be entirely based on this image, very, very close to it, or mildly? I'm going to do this. Let's do that, and let's do, but this mountain landscape, bright and sunny, as opposed to right now we have a sunrise. Negative prompts, let's do no trees, but I am using an image with trees, so there's definitely conflict in prompt here. I love to see and test this out. Let's see what it says. And it says basically that my image prompt is too close to cool. Definitely too close. I'm telling it to do the same one at sunrise, but I'm using this image with the strength up high and no trees. So let's turn the image strength right down on this. Actually, let's do the opposite. Let's go right up. But this time I want to take out the negative prompt and I want to go snowy mountains, snow. Once again, I'm conflicting here because I'm saying very high and this, but it should look just like this, and perhaps it will have snow this time. Let's see how Dream Studio does. And just to do this on the exact same thing, if I do the image strength very low at 5%, let's dream that. So here are my two results. This one was at high, which we're basically pretty much just getting the same image. It looks like it's very bit different in the cloud, but it's very, very similar. So if you want variations on the same image, basically, then you could do it that way. And then right here, when I put it down to 5% for the image strength, I've got pretty much very similar layout, not identical with the mountains, but I've definitely got snow in here. So it works. So there are two different things I want to show you. There are variations. You can generate variations, just like we had here, 1.2 per variation. Actually, I'll show you. Here we are, another variation, snowy mountain in exactly the same style. Looks great, perfect. I can also do things like I can edit the image here, which we can also do here, and I can set as initial image, which is, if I click that, it just populates it right here as opposed to uploading it like we downloaded earlier. But you may have an image from Google or something, so you may need to upload like I showed you. Let's go into the edit right here. So this is what pops up when you have the edit page. I don't know why that's showing me that so small, but you can also get rid of this. This is all the prompts and everything that I've done. Let's just move that out the way. So I've got this. Let's zoom that in just to play with some of this I want to show you. Okay, so now I can select and I can move on to an area I'm going to work with. Let's select the razor. All right, let's remove those clouds. Remove. I don't want any of these. Let's see how you do with this. Let's dream that up. And what you'll find happens with, so here is the problem with Dream Studio, and I have to show you everything and give my honest opinion. I'm not sponsored by any image tool or anything, is that every time you do this, and before I've been on the beta version and now on the real version here, when you select that, it just kind of duplicates on top of the original image. It's so frustrating and not intuitive for the edit feature. If I go back here, I can see that it just kind of took this section that's squared right there where the selection was. Let me just remove that and try again. And it's very frustrating. If you go on a place like Reddit, people are always talking about it. Like, can anyone able to use the edit function in Dream Studio? People say they've tried and stuff. Make sure you're not in the beta version, but even Google doesn't help. It's like not quite complete Dream Studio. It will be, and it will be a tool that's coming up, and lots of people love it. So perhaps you'll have less issues with this, but it's definitely a little bit glitchy. Let me go back here. So unsure and not really explained any about the select. Here's a select. Here's a select right here. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. And let's go into the edit. Let's go erase again. All I want to do quite simply is erase a cloud. So much less user-friendly than Stable Diffusion directly. I'm not sure why people like this tool, but they do, so I'll show you. And now I can't dream once I've selected that, which is very frustrating. So if I come back and I select this, okay, my whole image is selected, right? I'm selected. It's all here. Let's dream. And I think it's just gonna once again take it and place it over the top. Yeah, once again, done that. So I mean, I like to use Dream Studio before, perhaps to generate some images and some different versions. It's very user friendly, beginners especially with this. I have used it before for craft clay when I've needed it, or pixel art, because it seems to have those filters in place, but it's still missing something inside the edit feature here. You can export it fine and everything else, but as far as the eraser goes, I'm sure there's a way, and someone can let me know in the comments, but it's just not intuitive. I would definitely use one of the other platforms. Have to show you this because it was asked for and it keeps getting asked for, Dream Studio, but I would use one of the other platforms right now, but this will keep updating and I will update you when it improves, if it improves. But yeah. Okay, so next we're gonna go on to Adobe Firefly. Obviously, I had to show you an Adobe product in here. If you're working in video or design or anything, you'll know Adobe, most famously Adobe Photoshop. I use Adobe Premiere Pro to edit. You'll see that a lot in this course also. And you can, right now I'm not signed in, you can see right here. So there is an element of using this with and without an Adobe account. I'm gonna do it as if I'm not signed in, but I do have access to a full Adobe suite. This is Adobe Firefly. This is their image generation, and soon to be, if I scroll down right here, video, I can join the waitlist. I will update that and put when this is available for Firefly for video. That will be in the video section. At the time of recording, it's not available, but I will add that later. To get there, if I go back over to our page, that's AI Video School /AI image generation. If I scroll down underneath Adobe Firefly here, you can access, there's the Firefly official page, and you'll come to something that looks like this. Obviously it might have changed, and you can either just start generating right now here, or sometimes I like to go through and you can see what the community's been doing. Much like if I go over to Midjourney, and we've looked at this before, and you can get inspiration. A lot of AI models are doing this, which are really good because you can see the prompts that they're using and what's possible. Really nice. That's a really nice image right here, isn't it? Really good. So you can click and you can view that, and it'll also come up with a prompt, and you can start actually editing this image if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and do it. There's text to image, generative fill. I'm going to show you that inside here, and also I use Photoshop a lot for that. The generative fill is very handy inside the Adobe suite. And then there's all other things here, create a vector, generate a template, but we want text to image. So let's go and generate something right here. Let me come back over, and I'm going to just steal one of the example prompts that I've got right here. Let's copy this one. Portrait of a wise old man, Renaissance attire, highly detailed, dramatic shadows, oil paints. Let's take a look at that. Paste it in here, and this is what happens. This is what comes out, and the editing page, which if I go back over to our site here, you can see I've got the points right here, the main ones, which pretty much reference what's going on down here. So if you want a bullet point list right there and explaining on what they are, I've got them for you, but I'll go through them in this video. Now you can see, and by the way, I think Adobe Firefly is probably the fastest generation of the image tools that we're using. Super quick, really quick. So if you're in a hurry, this is the tool for you. Now, if I click on any of these, let's have a little look. Really nice. Got a guy of, looks like Asian descent or Polynesian descent or something inside this image here. We've got a guy here and here and here. This is quite nice that we've got a bit of diversity here. A black male looks Asian or Southeast least, and then white guy and a white guy, because quite often when you generate these, I'm not sure why, I guess maybe because I said Renaissance and it's drawing from what's available, what it's learned in models and things, it quite often gives you white males or females for this. It's quite nice that Adobe quite often does this, so you've got full range of options without prompting for it. So let's play with some of these, and I'll show you over here, I guess. So if I go to the top, let's go down these one at a time. You've got Adobe Firefly image 3 and 2. 3 is obviously the most recent at the time of recording this. I always stick with that. Now fast mode on off, it's so quick, but you're going to get a slightly lower resolution if you're doing it quickly than if you were doing it slowly, but we can always up-res this, upscale it right here. That's no problem. Next we have our aspect ratio. It was on 1:1, that kind of Facebook square format that you want. I'm going to just change that to widescreen for this tutorial. And then content type, do I want a photo, do I want art? It can be on auto, which means that it's making a decision for you, and it's guessing based on your prompt and what you want. So I've got photo. I could have art here because you'll see that I asked for it in oil painting style, which was conflicting with this prompt right here because it said photo, but I want it as an oil painting. So it kind of gave me somewhere in between. If we look here, it's definitely not ultra realistic, like a Renaissance realism painting, I guess. But if I put on art here and I regenerate this, we might get more of a art style. Okay, I mean, it's still a little bit video gamey in some of these. Maybe not this one. That's quite nice. That's different altogether. Good expression on his face, but not, I mean, we get an ultra realism oil painting, which I guess is down to Renaissance and the Renaissance art movement that we are getting in here. And we also said highly detailed. If I just go a portrait of a wise old man in Renaissance attire and then go oil painting style, it should maybe take away some of that. Okay, yeah, now we're getting more of perhaps somewhat of a painting style. I'd have to regenerate and keep playing with these. Now you saw there probably what happened is you can see if I do this and I went on generate, is that sometimes we've got a pop-up suggesting, wait, if I go painting style, oh look, this one looks quite a lot painty. You see if I bring my cursor up to here, it has prompt suggestions because I've got it on right here to do prompt suggestions. You can turn that on and off, and it can say, hey, do you want a portrait of a wise old man Renaissance style isolated on a pink studio background? Note, playing chess, looking through a pensive outdoors. thoughtfully sitting by the window. Okay, let's actually just go with that for a second. We're still on art here as opposed to photo. Great. And I'm going to generate that, and I'm going to do one more thing to try and get more of a painting style. Oh, these are nice though. Yeah, really nice. But if I go down, we'll come into this in a moment shortly. If I go down to the style right here, I can browse gallery. Let me keep going. Acrylic and oil. Let's just choose this one for a second. I'll come back to this tool in a moment. Just giving it a style reference. And this is where Adobe Firefly really sets kind of it apart from perhaps other more of acrylic than oil. Than other models. I'll come back to this and the reference images shortly. So that's the content style. Let's put this on photo. I'm going to do a different prompt here. Now, these next two sections, composition, style, reference, these are where we can tell that this is a design software. The Adobe suites, obviously Photoshop, like I said, the most famous product that they have. It's really meant for designers. Now you're thinking of the composition. I can upload a reference image if I want to. Let me just do that. Click here, go upload image. Now I have this, zoom in, there's a image of a guy right here looking straight at camera right in the middle of shot. Now this is reference for the composition. So what it's going to look like, this guy's over to the right, slightly to the right, facing that way. I've given it the style reference, the composition, sorry, reference of this. And I can choose the strength. Yep, I want the strength to be way up high. Let's go with that. Still having a portrait of a wise old man, Renaissance attire, thoughtfully sitting by the window. This will be interesting because that kind of tells me that it's going to be a different layout to this image that I've given it here. But let's test it out. All right, nice. So you can see, because it's up so strong, it's taken this as a composition reference exactly. However, because I've got, although this is only composition, not the character reference, and it's so strong, it's actually ignored kind of wise old man, and it's done a young guy. Let's generate that again. If I take away photo and put it on art, let's try that again and see if we start getting more of an old man. It's so fast. I can't believe it. Yeah, and because now he's getting older, got a grey beard, still quite young. Let's move this down to very low, but it still has a reference at least. And let's compare that. All right, nice. So we're getting something somewhat similar, and then I could go and change this to make him look at camera or change it in the prompt if I wanted to. So that's composition. Now, if you don't have a reference, it's very handy because if you're trying to, this as opposed to, you'll see when we do Meta, Grok, and when we've seen some of the other tools like DALL-E, Gemini, you have far more control right here of composition as opposed to having to type it inside your prompt there. So if you don't have an image right there, I can cancel that. You can go browse gallery and you can start saying, okay, what kind of framing do I want right here? Like what do I want it to look like? If I take this image of a cat, let's do that, but let's still say a wise old man. Let's remove that last one right there. We've got art style, we've got this composition, and we've got a star reference, which was that painting style that we chose. Let's generate, and let's see how much it takes for this composition where the cat is there. Okay, perfect. So we see the cat is over to the left-hand side, slightly looking at that 45-degree angle. Now our man and Renaissance attire is over there, over on that side. This is really nice because so many times you go, can he just look up, down, or especially you'll see even in Mid-Journey, it's difficult to get like a high angle or low angle shot sometimes. They either go really high or really low, like they're on the floor. If I just find an image from Google or somewhere that matches kind of what I want, or you could even break down an existing scene from a movie and screenshot to do this similarly, you can upload this to have your reference for that. Really nice aspect of the tool. I really like it. So we can continue going down. That was composition. Let's do style. Okay, so visual intensity, and you can hover over here. This is the intensity of your photos and overall characteristics. I'll show you what it means by that. If I go all the way to the top, I'm going to have it on photo, and let's just do a wise old man for the sake of this. My intensities come all the way up. Let's move that, and now my intensity, I'll put it all the way down. Oh, I've still got a style reference on here. Let me just take that off. Let me move that all the way up. I'm just saying photo. Nice. So that was intensity all the way up on image. Let's take a look at that. Got this nice moody background, dark. Nice. All right, let me move the style visual intensity all the way down on here. And you can see comparatively this to this set, we've got way more of a less intense look. This could be even quite dark or sinister, couldn't it? And this one, way more just a studio shot kind of here. That's moving the intensity. Let me put that background in the middle. And once again, each time you do this, you've got a reference that you can set. Now onto effects. I want to show you some of these. I can have a look at all of them if I wanted to, and I can move down. For example, here's Art Deco, Cubism, all the different art styles. So good having a design tool platform like Adobe that's come into this space, because if you're unaware of what these are called, we know we've had our page here on the style guide. Here you don't even need a style guide. It's telling you what it's like. If I chose Art Deco, I don't need to know what that is. Or minimalism, for example. And if I keep scrolling, there's loads of themes: 3D, anime, cartoon, even techniques, acrylic paint, bold lines, antique photos. It goes on and on and on. Different materials you can use, concept. That's really nice. So let's do some of these actually, shall we? Let's choose, I quite like to, let's do graffiti. And it's a photo right now. I want to have it as art. An old wise man graffiti art. Let's generate and see what it does. Great. Okay, so here, wise old man, and he's covered in paint here, and he's got like some graffiti in the background. Perfect. You can start seeing how we're layering these up depending on what you want, and you can really narrow down. So less concentration on your actual prompt. You would just say who the character is and what's in shot, and then let the content styles, the effects and everything take over. And lastly, if I just go back onto, I'm gonna just call it bokeh effect, that like deep focus kind of thing. Let's go back to color and tone right now, and let's call it a golden tone that I want. Lighting, let's call it low lighting, I guess. No, long time exposure, and then camera angle. Again, so good, seeing as we're gonna make video. If you already have a package for Adobe Suite, please look at using this. If not, you may use this as your tool. This is probably actually better for me than Stable Diffusion. I like Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, and then Stable Diffusion, probably in that order for image generation, that is. Let's do a shot from below. So now we have a portrait of a wise old man, bokeh effect, golden, long time exposure, shot from below. Let's generate. There we have it. That's exactly it, especially these first two, not this one and this one so much. But it doesn't miss a beat. I've got these, I mean, I don't know why it generated these lights over me right here. It's going to here, but I got these, that bokeh effect, which is the blur and then the lines and things. Dark, and then we've got this golden light that I asked for, and the angle is below. So when you're trying to generate shots for a story, for example, if you were trying to do an intense scene, so you want it shot from below, like we saw Tarantino doing earlier in the course, or shot from above, you wanted to make someone feel small, more insecure, or perhaps just insignificant in the shot as far as the emotion that you're telling. This is a really nice tool to be able to do that, because we're going to make these all into videos, right? Now, inside any of these images, let me just go back to here. And if I click on this one, for example, I could then upscale it. We're going to make that in better, or I can go edit and we can start doing some other things right here. I'm going to ignore like add text is obviously add text, shape and graphics, which is a design feature. I can use a style reference for something else in other projects, use a composition reference, and it'll just fill in on the side here where we were before. So for example, if I want this composition reference right here, I come out of it, you see it's got my composition reference at the bottom there, but I'm going to show you some editing tools here. So we've got generative fill and generate similar. This is obviously just to regenerate more of them, but let's go generative fill. Now this is pretty much where I want to either insert something, remove something, or expand something, or pan. So good to have these. Let's go insert. If I just put this on his shoulder here, let's put something right there. Okay. Now we're on add, not subtract or take away. We're not selecting the background or anything like that. I'm just going to go a small bird on his shoulder. Bird on his shoulder, and let's generate. Really nice. Okay, we've got a bird on his shoulder here. I've got a few different versions of it. There's a nice chubby bird there. This one's got a bit of character to him, and that one sat there. I really like that. Let's keep that bird here. Now, if I want to remove, for example, let's remove, I'm going to just take away some of this beard. Perhaps I think the beard is too long. Okay, and I'm going to subtract this and then click remove. And now I've got these different versions from the original beard. Back to big one, a small, neater beard like this. Okay, smaller beard. I still like a big beard for him. I'm just going to keep this one right there. And now to make this really easy for you, if you wanted him in a different place, you could just go select background and it takes away. Really nice cutout. If you had to do this manually like we had to before do in Photoshop, that would take so long to cut around these fine hairs and around here, and it's done it for you instantly. I can just click remove. And then it's given me some different background images. If I want to keep one of these, I'm just going to cancel that and keep that right there. Let's go expand if I want to. So I can drag this and make it like that. So if I just wanted this bit, I could zoom in, or perhaps I want more of him. Let's do this. Okay, and let's generate. You'll notice I'm not giving any prompts right here. I could have then set a prompt like there and say arms folded or something, and you would see his arms come out. Quite often I like AR models to be the artist sometimes and just give me some examples. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, really good. Okay, let's keep that right there. And then I can free transform this, keep that as a 1:1 landscape, do it 16:9. I could do that, and then I could just generate more. Probably going to give me just a black background for either of this. But I'm showing you we've got so much control over the image. It's a really beautiful tool to use. And that was everything I wanted to show you in Adobe Firefly. A little bit of an overview right there, which you could go way more into depth. Generative fill, very, very handy, and probably one of the best fillers. If I use something like Photoshop, which I use quite a bit, bring that up. Here's what AI says I look like. Very flattering, love it. And in exactly the same way, if I just zoom that out, in the very same way inside generative fill, I could do this, put that like there. Let's do that, and let's say generative fill and say coffee cup, and then generate. And it's generated me 3 versions of a coffee cup. That's quite a nice one, isn't it? And I can keep them there, or I could obviously get rid of them, depending on what I wanted to do. It's the same generative fill across the Adobe suite. Really nice software, so much control. If you, have a look at the pricing packages. It will differ a lot between country to country, so I can't show you that, and it would depend if you want the full Adobe suite. If you're looking for an editor and you want to use Premiere Pro like I do, and then it has this also, and soon it's going to have video, Adobe might be the all-in-one package for doing editing for AI. That's image generation for video editing, and then design or whatever you want to use, Photoshop, or if you just want to use this tool and then use others, then it's completely up to you. But just so I show you this was probably one of the more exciting ones here in image generation, apart from perhaps Midjourney. Next, I want to show you Runway image generation. Now, Runway is the tool we're going to use for video mostly, and it's the market leader in video, but it does also have the ability to create images. Now you're going to get very, very familiar with Runway ML. Runway is the leading tool at the time of recording for video generation. It has the least glitches, does some really nice video. You're going to see it a lot in the next section. But it also has access to a lot of other tools right here. If I go to, and we go back on the page right here, we were doing Firefly last time. So next one down, Runway image, you get all the details. If you use the drop down, how to access, here's a link to the Runway site. And then I've got all details right here. Here's a prompt we're probably going to play with in a moment, and some other details right there. Now, it's not quite as detailed in regards generating an image you'll see in a moment compared to Adobe Firefly that we were doing, and also as far as Midjourney goes either, but it is still pretty good. And if you wanted just one tool as opposed to multiple subscriptions, you're using this for video for sure, so you can probably play with it for images also if you wanted just one tool. Now you've got lots of things. This is the main one that we'll be playing with, but there's audio, there's lip sync, you've got image to image. There's so much on here. It's such a big tool. That's why it's a market leader. We're going to play with text to image today. So it looks something like this when you come to the platform, and it's very straightforward to use, very, very straightforward. If I just go through these systematically on the side, first, We're going to choose our aspect ratio. I'm going to keep it at 16:9. The resolution is a nice one to have. I'm going to choose 2K. And then you got your style. Just like we had a lot inside Firefly and we were choosing our styles and things. The only problem is it's a list without examples inside Runway right now at the time of recording. So I guess we'll just have to go with our own understanding of what these are. We have the style page. Once again, this one is AI image generation, but there is /styles. And I'll give you some examples there as we went through earlier in the course, but you need to kind of know what the style is, which is a bit of a letdown. But let's go through these, and I'm going to use Cine Lens. Okay, no, Cinematic. Let's do that. The number of outputs that I want, let's do 4, just like we're used to inside Midjourney. And a prompt, let's go and copy this, go back to here and put in our prompt. A serene mountain landscape at sunrise, vibrant colors, photorealistic style. Now you don't need AR16.9, that's if you're using the Discord version of say Midjourney or any other tools that use those syntaxes. You don't need it here because we have it right there. So I can just go generate, and I'll go through this train your model shortly. And here's our images here. These are beautiful, really nice. Let's click and have a little look at this. Really nice. Wow, look at that. Even the details in the grass, everything's really nice. It does generate really beautiful images. Really beautiful. So the other thing on this page before we get into editing one of these is train your model. Now if I click this, it's going to open up another tab, and you can pretty much train the model based on a custom character, style, or object. So if you're having a project like we're doing and you're generating a character, we can start to generate this, and I can start creating a character, and then my generations are going to be based on that character, and they should be the same one. So if you're making yourself, and then you could make yourself in lots of different scenes, and you want that continuity across your images because you're going to turn these into video eventually, it has that, which is a really nice feature. It's just a feature that really helps with probably the #1 problem when you're doing image to video, which is continuity across your characters. So if I grab one of these images, let's take a little look. I can then go up to a few things here. I can rename it, I can favorite it, download it, forward it, close it, or if I click on this dot right here, I can open output in Runway tool. If I want to do any kind of editing with it, if I come back to all tools right here, you have to think of all your projects and everything you generate are able to be used inside of Runway ML on any of these other tools. So I could be going generate video, and I could take a look at my assets. For example, if I click assets right here, it's right there, and I could start be using it. For example, if I go here, using generative video all inside. But if I just want to go to something like let's go erase and replace, I can then go in here, get my image. And this is where you can start doing different editing techniques that we're used to inside other tools when it's all on one platform. But inside ML, inside Runway, it's all slightly different. So if I want to erase something, let's add the brush tool right here. Select this right there, move bushes, green grass. And then you start getting different generations playing with this. That one. This one's pretty clear, very realistic, really nice. Now let's add this in right there, and I could say maybe I want to add a man walking his dog. Great, and here it is, a man walking his dog here over the hills, and you can choose, I don't know what that one was, but you can choose one of these. I like that, and I can accept it. So this is where you pretty much do your in painting, if you like, and erasing or removing or whatever it is that you want to do. If I come back, going to view all tools, and I can start doing things like I could remove the background, so image to image, infinite image if I want to expand the image, erase and replace as we did. So let's go expand image. I'm going to go into here, let's select our image again. I can change right here the aspect ratio as we wanted to do, or I could scale it. I could scale it to 1 times, 0.7 times. And this allows me to, for example, if I had a 1:1 and then I wanted it to be 16:9 like we got right here, it uses generative fill, so it can intelligently know what to add in. So let's do that actually. Let me move it on to 920. Option, I can have a prompt, maybe make this sunlight, make this a different time of day or whatever, and let's generate. And here we have it. Here we have what it's kind of changed the sky right there. That's really, really nice. So I can change it right here. So Runway can be your one-stop shop for everything. You could be doing all your images. You could have great continuity amongst characters. I could in paint, in fill. You have to obviously go back and forward between different tools, but it does store your assets for you inside. So it could be your one-stop shop for everything. So perhaps if I'm going to rank my favorite tools, I still like Midjourney because teaching an old dog new tricks, it's my favorite one, but it's also market leader, I think, in image generation. Then perhaps either Runway or Adobe Firefly. Probably get more control as a designer for doing that, and when they release video, that'll be great. And then this for images also, but this is definitely the main tool for video. It's absolutely incredible at creating video, which we're going to see in the next section. I have a couple more tools for image generation. The next two, I mean, are more for the casual viewer using current social medias, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Let's take a look at those. Moving on to Meta AI now, a tool I wanted to show you, just forewarning you, it's not my favorite tool and it probably won't be yours, all depending on what you need, your requirements for generating AI images. It is far more geared towards a general user to kind of have it inside Facebook and to use images for Facebook to generate things to probably help boost interaction on Facebook, Instagram and such like, as opposed to a video creator like us needing to generate an image, have consistency across images. But it is a tool, it's free, and I have to show you it's going to be around for a while and it's going to keep getting added to us. I will keep updating this when any significant changes and updates happen. Meta's kind of one of the companies I want to mention. The same as we have coming up with X, I just want to make you aware of these big companies. So when you come onto the page, this one once again, aivideo.school/AI image generation, you can see what I've written here about Meta. It will not take long for me to show you this platform. And once again, you can click to go to the official page right there. You'll come to something that looks like this and you'll have logged in with your Facebook profile. And on this page, you can see any history, any stuff you've been doing before. Here's some things that I've generated previously here inside Meta. And then you can also just, if I show you the main page, you'll come to lots of different things like you use text-based like ChatGPT. Help choose me a pet. I haven't played with this, not something that interests me too much. And then imagine an image. So we can imagine an image and we can come up here, and if you don't want to just go straight into giving yourself a prompt, you can either get some, it's kind of like inspiration page right here. If I click on one of these, let me select these two aliens reading in a library, and you can see the prompt that they used right here. Imagine aliens reading books in a library, has views out to a beautiful forest and is quiet. And this is what they generated. So let's just generate one of the images here, and I can show you, there isn't much after that to show you if I'm honest, but you can see the image quality from Meta, which is actually pretty good. So if I go paste, let's add that in there, a magical forest with glowing trees and mist, ethereal lighting, fantasy art style quality, quality high. So you can see the images we're getting here, 4 generations, just like we see inside of Midjourney. And you can see these are good, definitely on the illustrative. Oh, this one's kind of a bit more realism fantasy art, really nice. The 3 dots up here, if I want to download, share or report it if something comes up that you think shouldn't, and the same with up here. This is quite nice that either inside here or when you go back to your main page, you can just click animate right here and watch what happens. Okay, we got a bit of movement, about 4 seconds or so of movement coming in here. Just camera just hands and goes down. I obviously, unlike we want, have full control over this. It doesn't give me any animation prompts that I can be using, any way to do that, but it can just animate if that's what you need. If you just need any animation, any movement whatsoever between shots, maybe you needed a collage of these shots and you just needed a small amount of movement to join them together, that would suffice. Now you'll notice that this is in a 1:1 format right here, and that can be sometimes tricky to get out of inside here. So let me just do a prompt exactly the same again, and let's do aspect ratio 16:9 landscape, just so it's definitely true. It definitely knows what we were asking for. And exactly same prompt again, but with the new aspect ratio, and we'll see the results. And still they are in 1:1. Now, any of you that use social media know that Facebook is heavily favored in the 1:1 format, the square format. That's in video, image, whatever it is, just based on the images that they use for, or anyway, even across the Instagram feed, and Facebook just favors 1:1. It is the Facebook format. So it makes it quite difficult. If you prompted enough, you probably could. I've never managed it myself, but I don't really use this platform that much. It's something I want to show you. The images are really nice. Let me just actually try while we're here, I guess. Ultra realistic, photorealistic image of a man's face, old, wrinkled, what do I want? Close up. I just want to see how it does with realism. We've seen fantasy art and it's drawing from obviously great sources for that. That works, but how is it doing with photorealism? Pretty nice, actually. The quality is good. Look, here's a close up. Obviously the close up is okay in the face there. Yeah, we're getting a bit illustrative there. This one way more realism, but ultra kind of stylized, look almost plasticky rather than skin, but it does generate a really nice image. This is perhaps a little bit too much, but you can see you're able to do all kinds of styles right there. And rather than on the other platforms we've seen, for example, when we did Stable Diffusion or inside Midjourney, these platforms where you can select styles, for example, Stable Diffusion and things, and I can select styles that I want from a style list. Meta, far more conversational style. AI, I'd have to tell it, for example, if I want this again, but I want it in cyberpunk. Now, I do have some conflicting prompts there, I think, but let's just see how Meta copes with that. Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, realist and definitely on the cyberpunk skew right here. Apart from that one is just generic, I think. I'm not sure. Is that a scar hair in the middle of the face there? And then, yeah, we've got some line here. So it did understand. Very responsive, very good. And that's pretty much it, I'm afraid, with Meta. So you can either animate these, of course, if I want to, all of them and see them. That's pretty much as far as you get, and everything else is going to be based in prompt. There is no in-painting yet. There is no editing or removal tool or anything like that. But it is for the more casual user. Now, if you just need casual video, I'm not sure you'd be doing this course, but if you did, then it's an option. And once again, this will of course update. Meta will definitely update this. It's going to be one of the biggest platforms. Obviously, I've seen it trading and doing really, really well. I follow all the big companies and see how well it's doing. I think it's going to just increase and get better and better. So I definitely want to keep it in this course, and I will update it as big changes happen. Stay tuned for that. So next we're going to go on to X. We've gone from Mark Zuckerberg to Elon Musk, and we're going to look at Grok. So exciting. I want to show you Grok. Not a lot of people show this. I think it's going to increase over time, be quite a big platform eventually. It's still in its early days, and much like Meta, where we're playing with that, it's far more geared towards the casual user to be using inside of X, formerly Twitter. So if you want to use this, you can. It does have some supposed benefits with some things you maybe want to generate. I'll explain shortly. If you want to come over to our page, AI Video School / AI Image Generation, just as before, if I scroll down on here and drop down, you can read all about it, and also the link to x.com, which is quite simple, x.com. And you would need for this though a premium account. Now I can't tell you how much that costs, because one, they'll change, and two, you could be watching from anywhere in the world, but starting at a few dollars a month up to a yearly price, or a more expensive monthly or yearly price, depending on the different things that you need. But they all have access currently right now to Grok. And Grok right here, you can either access it here inside Premium, which is under your settings, or right here you'll get a Grok icon appear where it'll just open up like this. Now you can obviously ask Grok anything, just like ChatGPT or Meta, and you could be using it just to answer queries, questions. You can attach an image and ask, what is this? We can try it for image generation also. So it is kind of an all-in-one, as opposed to a specific model used to generate AI images. So you're going to be limited, just like Meta at present, to be able to get consistency between shots and things. But let's just go and see what the quality is like. It may be that you want to use this because you are just a casual user and you don't need too much control depending on your projects, or you just like the styles that they come with. So I'm going to just paste this in here, and then we can do stuff like talk about styles and aspect ratio, and see how this comes out inside Grok. Very quick, by the way, Grok, extremely quick. It's more like a 4:3 format. I didn't specify it, and I can zoom in here and you can see that the quality is nice. There's some good texture on there, and it understands what you got. Good lighting. I've got the reflection of this flame coming here. It even understood to do that whilst it generated, and the texture on this rope and on this chainmail, really nice. I really like the images that come through with Grok. Now, if I said aspect ratio 69 and then paste that in, let's see what happens. And I can already see that the format is coming through, much like unlike other ones that we've used where we select, for example, where we've been in Stable Diffusion and we've selected what it is that we want. It's all conversational and all in what you prompt on here. Now let me open this. Oh, it's actually not done 16:9. It's actually done, that's definitely not a 16:9 image. Let's do it again, and I want to see if I put in landscape right here. Let's do landscape, and then I'm going to change the word portrait. Maybe it's getting confused, and just say image of a knight in armor, dramatic lighting, ultra realistic detail, star renaissance. This looks really nice. I'm not sure about the proportions. This looks like a very heavy midriff in comparison to the size of his head. I might want to regenerate that. If I click on these three dots, I can save the image, copy the image, of course post this directly to X. And you can also do things like monetize if you have followers, and you can start monetizing images you're created inside X if that's what you wanted. Let's go back through and test something else. If I come back to the page, I've written this down. You can obviously do the theme you want, attributes, details, style, mood, technical, like aspect ratio, although we've just seen we are struggling with that heavily. But also Elon Musk himself and X really prides itself on freedom of expression, freedom of speech. And because of that, the mandate may enable you to create images without a filter, unlike some other platforms might do. For example, if you needed something, even safe images, for example, if you needed a scene where people were in swimsuits and bikinis and trunks and things like that, if you try and prompt this sometimes with things like Midjourney, even though it's a safe image, sometimes you may get flagged and say, no, I can't do that, because it's being very safe. Now, X says it is a little bit less safe. Of course, note, and we say nothing illegal, derogatory, dangerous, or adult. Don't do any of that, and it shouldn't work for it anyway. Don't do it, but you should be able to, even when, if I go into Midjourney and try and say Donald Trump, let me show you that. Not that I suggest, obviously, if we spoke about ethics millions of times, it's a personal use, but you can't be uploading video imagery and stuff like that without some kind of consent. But if I go Donald Trump playing chess. Oh, this is actually done at this time on Midjourney. Sometimes you will get flagged. Perhaps if I tried to do like Donald Trump smoking a cigar. Let's try that. Yeah, okay, so this says no. So there are some limitations. For example, it can play chess, can't smoke a cigar, because perhaps the idea that I could be portraying him in some negative light with that imagery. So let's go on to Grok though, and let me go Donald Trump smoking a cigar. Okay, and now I've got an image here of Donald Trump smoking a cigar. So obviously some platforms are far more wary and will hold back on you with some generations, even though there's nothing illegal here with Donald Trump smoking a cigar. You know, you could be manipulating it for something else, or to portray him as something, doing something that he wouldn't, that some people find negative. So it does have a bit more freedom of expression right here. So I can copy that right here if I want to share it. I can also regenerate just with this. Let's just see what happens when I regenerate it. Now we've got this. That's quite a funny, almost like illustrative caricature we're getting to here. But they are really nice images. If I zoom in, the texture on them, look at the hair and the skin. very good, and it's managed to purse the lips. Sometimes when you generate these, it's like a closed mouth with just a cigar put over, but that's actually done really, really well. I like the light on the tie. Really, really nice. The other things I can do is like and dislike it, so it can help with the learning, but there isn't anything like in painting, there isn't anything like editing, removal tools. It's way more casual in its approach. Now I was just on Grok 2 Mini. Let's go Grok 2 Beta, and it's the most intelligent model and the one coming out. Let me give it something a little bit harder. Generate an image of Donald Trump smoking a cigar with his hands in the air wearing gloves. Lots of details that it has to. Oh, and I've also done generate then. I don't know where that came from. Okay, he's definitely wearing gloves, smoking a cigar. That looks a lot less real though, like I mentioned just now. So there's a cigar that it just puts it against the lips. Let's just regenerate and see if it can do a better job there. Okay, now look, this is getting funny. So Donald Trump is wearing leather gloves right here, smoking a cigar. Yeah, it's getting better and better. Now if I wanted to take this again, Donald Trump smoking a cigar, white gloves, black background, dark, moody, intense. Let's give it some descriptive words right here. Oh, bit of typos there. Spelling, that's okay. AI should know. Yeah. And now we're definitely getting, look how good that is. Really nice. Let me just regenerate. I could play with AI tools forever, regenerating, just to compare them side by side. Now it looks like he's wearing woolen gloves, but I like what's happening here. So like I mentioned, don't be using this to create anything derogatory. And if you put that up, there may be some trouble, obviously, but it does do really nice quality images. And I've got some ones right here. Let's do it with, I actually put in, because it has worked doing it 16:9 before, I'm going to put in AR 16:9, that's aspect ratio. This is a syntax we would use with Midjourney. So let's see if that makes any difference, but I really don't think it will. We're still going to get this more 4:3 style format. Yeah, and it is nice. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So that's pretty much all I can show you with Grok. They will be updating this, and if we know Elon Musk and he wants the X and all the other the platform you go to for news, it's the #1 trending news apps in a lot of countries, and then to be able to generate with AI, ask questions. He wants it to be all in one platform, and he's a smart guy with lots of backing and money, so we can probably bet that this is going to improve over time drastically, and I'm going to keep updating this course as Grok gets better and better. If you're already an X user, adding this a few bucks a month for premium wouldn't be an issue, but if you're not an X user, then it might be something you'd want to go with one of the other platforms. So now we've done a lot of these tools, some way more skewed specifically towards image generation for the more advanced user that we're doing, and some way more for the casual user. Let's go on, and I'm going to go back into Midjourney and show you some more advanced features there right before we get into the end of this section, where I'm going to be creating the images for my own course project that we've been working on. We've already done some of those images in the last section. I need to fill in more and make sure I've got a complete story. So you're probably going to want to know about apps on your phone. I'm going to show you one. There are lots and lots of different versions, but one that's I think a little more complete than others, Wizard AI. This is available for Apple and Android. If I just open this up, so $4.99 a week, not the cheapest. I've canceled mine. I wanted to trial this out, and I've been using it for a while, just testing it out. As you want to create stuff on the go. I was flying and I was traveling a lot, and create images on the go. Great for that, but fairly pricey compared to other ones with your desktop and stuff. But there are multiple plans you can get here. A yearly one, obviously slightly cheaper. Now the great thing about Wizard AI is that it's pretty much, let me show you here. If I go select model, look what it has here. DALL-E, Sora AI video apparently, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Bing, Leonardo AI, Deviant, and Adobe AI. So apparently it has lots of different models to be using all in one. You've got right here, and it's probably gonna increase, but at the time of recording, there's 8 different platforms to be using here for your image generation, which is great. Let's just choose Midjourney on here, and let's type something in. let's do an image of a man and his dog. Very simple, not a great prompt. Now I'll go through these. Let me show you advanced. I can do things like move up and down the creativity, the strength, and the CFG scale. So this is basically how much it's adhering, obviously, to my prompt. Before that, we've got aspect ratio. I want this in 69, HD, full HD, or 4K. I really like that it has those options. Let's apply those settings. Selected my model. And then you've also got this, which is really cool. I can instantly tell it, rather than have to put it inside my prompt, I can tell it the style. I want this realistic, I want this Lego. That's quite fun to do. Pencil, digital art, and then what's more styles here below. So I'm going to go with realistic for this one. We'll play with a few, and let's click generate. Okay, completed it. Let me have a little look at some of these. A man and his dog. Pretty good. The annoying thing is I can't click to see these in full, which is quite annoying. The only way to do that is to download and then open them up. So I will do that with one. I guess that this is probably the most cinematic. If I zoom in, you can see it is realistic, but it is a little bit illustrative. The hair is really nice, good quality. The dog's also really nice. You find that animals often come out really well because you're not studying it like you do a human's face, so perhaps it's not that great. Actually, if I go to the edge of the hair, it gets a little bit lost, but pretty nice, pretty good image here. Now the first thing I want to do is compare that to an image of a man and his dog. I'm just going to change that to, let's do it with stable diffusion for now. Let me play. Okay, loading. Unlike, we know when we've used stable diffusion at this top, we have one image, not four. But I think if I just check this out, I think that I'm going to download that again, have a look inside my gallery. Definitely has a lot more, if I actually compare this directly, a lot more detail. You see it gets washed right here on these areas. But if I go to that image, I've got texture of skin still. I can see the pores on his face. So I think that actually Stable Diffusion did a better version of the image, although unlike inside Midjourney, we see we can upscale. You can't do that inside the app. So perhaps unfairly, we're looking at these images for Midjourney in the last one without them being upscaled. Now, of course, I want to play with a man and his dog. I want to play with Lego right here. Let's generate that. And this is inside the Stable Diffusion model. Okay, nice. A man and his dog. And I'm going to download that to check it out. A man and his dog in Lego. I'm not sure these tiny pieces work entirely for that, but definitely for the man it does. Something funny is going on with his eyes there, I think. Trying to contour him slightly. But definitely got the image that you want. But you can go through and you can play with some other stuff like DeviantArt, Adobe AI. And it's great to have this on your phone. If that's not too much out of your budget, it's nice to have this all in one place. And to be able to just generate on the go. Sometimes I get ideas of things I just want to generate, even to store it in my files I have on my phone to be able to come back to, and then and remind me, and I use another model for it eventually, or I manage to, I've got to spare 30 minutes in a taxi or something, and I generate and regenerate until I've got a pretty safe image that I want to use, download it, and then I'll upload that into Midjourney or something to use it as style reference, image reference when I'm creating on my laptop. So I needed to show you a tool. There are lots out there. This is probably one of my favorites. It's all in one. None of them are there's no like heavily creative, no in painting, editing and things like that to a great extent like you get on desktop versions, obviously because of computing power, but that will be something in the future and I will update it. So that was an app. Let's move on. And we are back inside Midjourney, my favorite image generation tool and probably yours, although some of those other ones were great, weren't they? So before we get going, there's some setup parts that I need to show you here in Midjourney. Before we get generating an image, we have 3 lectures now on Midjourney, and by the end of it, you'll know everything and be able to go away and start playing with this. Only through doing it time and time again do you pick up the small little nuances of AI image generation when you're using other images for stuff like reference, which we're going to go into. If I wanted to use this image, if I want to use the image style, you can see it pop up here. We'll get all into that in the following lectures. But for now, I want to show you the setup. So first thing you want to do, we've already been through the layout here about 5 or 6 lectures ago. Right up here, right before you set up, you can click these little filter icons right here, and you can adjust your prompt settings. Here's your settings for Midjourney. If I click onto that, you've got, and I'll go through these in order just to make sure you understand everything, because some of these don't make too much sense. Now, first is image size, which is pretty obvious what that's going to be. That's the size of the image, and it will depend largely on what you are creating for. If you're creating for YouTube or for cinema, for movies, to make actual movies like the one we're creating for this project where it's going to film festival, then 16:9 is the usual aspect ratio for that, 16:9. But you could go really cinematic. You could be 2:1, which is a bit like, remember we looked at the Western genre? They often film like that stretched out cinematic style. And then you can go all the way through to 4:3, which is old TV, 1:1, which is like Facebook videos often come in 1:1, all the way going backwards right here through to 9:16, which are your reels, your Instagram, TikTok, etc., as well as 1:2, super narrow vertical. So if you keep this on, for example, the project you're making, if you're making a video like we are, like I am for this, for cinema, we're going to send to a film festival. If I keep it on 16:9, then every image I now generate will be 16:9 until I tell it otherwise. Remember I showed you that we used to do this inside of Discord? Well, you'd have to type in --AR, that's aspect ratio 16:9. No, you no longer have to do that. This is a much more friendly, user-friendly interface. So that's what images. Let's actually do a few of these. As I do this, I'll make generations just so it sticks in. So let's come up with a prompt, shall we? A female cowboy wearing a cowboy hat, looking into camera with a Western scene behind her. So this is not using a great prompt, and the next lecture we're going to talk about prompts, and we've already spoke about it slightly. You'll need much more detail than this, but for the sake of when I'm just showing you settings, that will do. So let's generate that. Let me just copy that, generate it in 16:9. Let's do one, say it was for Instagram, TikTok or something. Let's do that. And then I'll do a square format Facebook video. Let's do that, and let's just take a look at those. So here they are comparatively side by side. Here is the 9:16, your movie kind of landscape image. And then we can compare that to if you were making a reel, for example, which is this layout right here, 9:16 this way. And then also we've got 1:1 right here, the square format, most commonly used on social medias, on TikTok also, but Facebook primarily. Let's go back into here and let's go mode. So I've got this on raw right now. Let me tell you the difference between these inside the different models here on mode. Standard is pretty much giving it a little bit more free reign in your prompt than raw. Basically, standard, they call it standard, but it means, hey, maybe Midjourney will just add a little something in here that you didn't prompt us for. Maybe it'll give you some inspiration. It's great for that. And raw, pretty much you're telling it exactly. So if your prompting is on point, as we're trying to learn here, then it'll give you exactly what you prompted for. Also, if you are making a project where you need cohesiveness across your shots, across your styles and things, then raw is often better. But I'm going to show you these side by side. So let's put this back into 16:9. Let's go standard. Let's compare that, and let's go raw, and let's compare that, and let's go side by side and check those out. So to compare them, let me click on here. It's giving me a slightly animated, it's like a computer game, like Lara Croft style PlayStation back in the day. In the background right here is, it's almost like cactus out of focus, but there's somewhat of a fisheye kind of feel to this. This has put another person in the background here, which needs some work by the looks of it. And this is an illustrative version, which I didn't ask for. And then if I go back to what I asked for, the raw version of it, I've got a far more realistic image, except this, it has also done something a bit strange here, although I guess it's all sepia. And with the prompt we used, we didn't give it any information, for example, the style or whatever. But there's the difference right here. We've got far more real, close to my prompt, and then a little bit out there, a little bit wackier. If we had a different prompt, you'd see that even more different from the prompt. I've seen some crazy stuff happen on standard. Not too much, but a little bit. Now right here is the version, so it's always best practice to be on the latest version, but you can try out some different ones if you wanted to. If I just zoom in and show you here, this is one here called Niji 6. If I just click that, now Niji 6 actually developed for animation, I think in the anime theme. So let me click that here. Although whenever I've used this, it hasn't really been anime in its strictest form, sometimes been more illustrative, and I think that's what it means, more illustrative. Although when I've read everything about it and used the term anime, let's generate that and have a little look. So let's take, yeah, you can see that. So here we've got definitely computer game vibes from the early 2000s, definitely in the shape of face and things, slightly more anime, but we've got that illustrative computer game feel. Same with this, but this would be like when some people try to generate anime style realism, then it looks like this for sure. And we've got the same thing here. So that's pretty much what that does. I always like to just keep it on the latest edition. As this updates, you'll see that happen. Up here, it might be 16.2 to eventually it's going to be a version 7 and such like. They're just improvements that they've been making. Now, I mentioned this ever so briefly in the personalization. I can unlock this. I've never done it and I don't really want to, and I'll tell you why. I'll click to show you guys. So here I can teach Midjourney about what I find beautiful. So I can start teaching if I click right here. They said it'll take about 7 minutes. And what you do is you start clicking on images. They come side by side. I'll show you a few. I like this. I like this one. I like this one. And you can start telling it what you like compared to one or the other or the other. I can actually go back and undo those so it doesn't learn anything about me, because what it's trying to understand is what I would like so that it gives me less iterations of things that it think I won't like, so that I can get more targeted iterations more quickly, basically. Now, this is good if you are one, limited, and I will show you the different plans in a moment. One, if you're limited on the amount of generations you can do, or if you train this just for a project and you want cohesiveness across a project, that's great. But then in the future, when I come to maybe share with someone else or come to do a new project or something, I don't want it to have the limitations where I've taught it what it is that I want it to generate. I want it to be based on my prompts as opposed to what it's learned about me. So I never really do that. That's just what it is, and I'll show you. And if you want to, you can. It all depends on your project. So that was model. Let's go up to aesthetics and let me explain these. Now, with stuff like stylization, even wildness and things, what I like to think of this scroller as 0 is closer to my prompt and 1000 is further away from my prompt, almost. So if I put my styling down, I think the default is actually 100 on here and I've changed it down. The stylization is kind of more true and real to my prompt, whereas if I go up here, it's going to not be, and weirdness and variety you're going to see in a moment. So let me just do this exact prompt we were doing, and let's do it with the stylization at 100, and then I'll do the exact prompt I want, and do it at stylization 1000 so we can compare them side by side. Now here they are side by side. There's not too much difference here because I've given it too much in my prompt, I believe. I'm going to compare again in a moment. So here's my images here at 100, and here's my images here at 1000. You can see they've done stuff like put a horse close up, put it in the snow, which I definitely didn't use, although I didn't tell it not to either. So let me just prompt that again, and I want to this time, this is why I love AI image generation. I could play with this all day long. So I'm going to just say a female cowboy and go with that at 100. And then I'm going to do the same thing at 1000. Let's go a female cowboy, and let's see what it produces after that. So I've done that there, and what I realized was, and this is why I love going back and forward, and it's great for you to see me do this, as I've been changing things, of course. Remember we had standard and raw on here? I had it on raw still, which was meaning it was pulling fully on my prompt, and standard would allow more variation. So because it was on this, stylization was less. And it's good to go through these and for us to play with these one step at a time, because you'll see even when we come to do more things like in the future, we do image and style and stuff, sometimes you have conflicting information, same with your prompt, which is great for us to understand. So here a star like 0, a female cowboy, here we are, there she is. That is definitely a cowboy. And then when I've let the stylization go to 1000 here, suddenly it's giving me a close-up black and white. She's wearing lipstick that's red still on here. This is like a cowboy on a beach. We've got her in the snow, a close-up image, and riding into a fire-like sky. So you can see the stylization has gone from what you would expect somewhat. It's almost like if I was just to tell you a female cowboy, yep. And then if you was to describe this image, you would say a woman wearing a hat, black and white. You might say a woman on the beach, maybe wearing a cowboy hat. This one, maybe, and this one, yeah, you could possibly say that a woman on a horse. Fire would be the main thing you said, or sky. That's basically what stylization is. So let's play with some more stuff with that. Let's play with weirdness. This will be fun. Let me do again a female cowboy. I'm going to copy that. And let's do it at weirdness 0. Let's run. And let's do weirdness 1000 and run. So here we have the comparison of a very wide open member, a female cowboy. Definitely a female cowboy vibe, so the style is very different. I've given it no instructions with that, no prompting. And then when I put the weirdness up, it started adding 2 people on horses. It's got a woman looking through a door, it looks like here. This one, I'm not even know if she is a cowboy, just in a red leather jacket, but maybe the scene looks like it could be. And then this one, yeah, I guess so. So you can see how it's almost giving it poetic license to do a little bit more and just change up to what it wants. So the last one, variety, this is interesting because we are generating 4 shots right here and they have a cohesive style between them. These don't so much on that example, but they definitely have like a style. They've got that sepia tone. Remember we spoke about in styling, the Westerns often have that beige sepia type tone. And now if I go onto here and I go variety, let's push that up to 100 and let's do the same prompting right here and let's see the results. So I've just seen these, just finishing right now. So there's a very wide open prompt, a female cowboy. Let's take a look at these. No idea when you turn these styles, how is that even? A female, yes. Cowboy, I'm not sure. This is the only one that kind of resembles it slightly, but you can see how all 4 of these are completely different. It's like playing a game where you have to try and work out what connects the 4, and I would never have any idea what connects these. Unlike when you get 4 images like this, or even where the style is slightly different before images like this. This is way out there. So I turned that absolutely down. So I'm going to reset my own standards right here. Raw, the latest version. I put all my stylization and everything down to 0. You might want to have this at 100, which is the default I believe that it comes with, but I keep mine down and I'm making mine, 16:9. Now the last things are speed. I can have it fast, turbo, or relaxed. I'll show you how quick these are if I get this. So let's do relaxed and just go female cowboy. Let's go fast and go female cowboy and turbo. So if I put these up side by side, these are all starting. Obviously this one had a little bit of a head start, but it's in the slowest mode. Let's start seeing what's happening. Oh, this one 100% complete, just quickly did it, while this one, the fast one, is on 35 and that's now complete. And then we've still got the slower version happening here. So that's obviously exactly what it says on the tin. It's how quickly it's going to generate. So if you were in the evening or work day and you didn't need it to be so quick, then of course you could use slow mode and it'd be using less credits on your system. I'll show you that in a moment. The only thing that's going to dictate you using one of these are pretty much the package that you're on. I pretty much have it on fast or turbo the whole time because of the package I'm on. You can see that the slowest one here, the relax mode, is still generating. I'm going to leave that just there. I'm going to show you show you the subscriptions that we have here. So the package that I'm on, for example, I get 30 hours included. That's fast hours that I'm allowed right here. And then I have this remaining and is rewards you can get for tasks and things like that. Now there are all different plans. Let me click change plan. And these obviously might change over time with price, etc. And there's difference between monthly and yearly billing. So I'm on this plan right here, $60 a month, but it enables me to have 30 fast hours of generations, basically calculating when I create these, how long it takes to generate that image quickly. And then of course, they're gonna be calculating that I'm allowed 30 hours of fast, and then it will go down with a lot of people on this, the $10, especially when you start. I would just get this and see how you get on. This is limiting you on generations numbered per month. So depending on how many you do, and you'll see when we generate these images, I often generate 20 images at a time. So if I'm allowed 200 a month, then I would only be doing 10 generations, for example. But it may suit your needs, and if you've done all the prep like we spoke about in the earlier sections, then you will need less iterations of this. So let me go back to create and let's see if that's finally, no, relax mode has still not done. Please, unless you have the time, do not use relax mode. It is super relaxed, it's almost asleep. So the last thing I want to show you here is stealth mode, exactly what you probably are guessing. On or off, you can toggle these. It allows people to see your generation. So perhaps in the explore, you might show up, or to share someone your profile, and they'll be able to see your iterations and what you've been generating. Good to share with friends or other people in the community. And sure, the AI community is very open with sharing and learning. We're still in the early days of AI, so it's great to do that. Often people have those off to share. Now, the other stuff I'm going to show you is all going to be primarily inside the creation actions button, which we're going to get to when we can upscale these, we can remix them, we can pan this and move it, zoom, and we can do a lot of editing in here. We can be changing and filling out, as well as rearranging stuff and all kinds of things, which is lots and lots of fun to do. But the other thing I want to show you is a female cowboy, worst prompt ever. Okay, so watch this. If I have it, I'm going to do dash dash and then 4, for example. Let's do this. So what I'm basically doing there is telling it that, hey, I want 4 versions of this. You get 4 at a time anyway, so I've got 4 times 4 versions. Rather than when you're generating this, do 4 at a time, that wasn't quite right, let's copy into here and do another one. I can get through that. And once again, depends on your package. I can get through that, but I can then generate multiple, say 12 at a time, and then be like, oh, this is kind of the image that I want. Okay, now I can edit this, or I can get more versions similar to this. I want a subtle version of that. Let's go. Rather than have to do them time and time again, now I can start working with the image that I need. You know, through these prompting dash dash something or other that I will show you as we get further on, and it's also on that main page that I showed you in the opening lecture. And R for repeat is one of the most commonly used ones. When we used to have the Discord channel, it was all of those dash dash. AR for changing it from 69 to 11, and so many others. But you don't need that now on this page. They've made it much more user friendly. So dash dash R, and then the number you want to repeat this is probably the most common one that you're going to do and need here inside Midjourney. Now that was your Midjourney setup. Now you're set up and good to go. You can start generating images, but you're going to want to know how I can change this. For example, maybe she's wearing the wrong color hat here, and I want to just make sure that she's wearing what I want her, which is a pink cowboy hat. To do some in painting right here, so that now that same image has a pink cowboy hat. There are so many things we can do here to manipulate and change the image to get it exactly how you want it, although sometimes it can be frustrating. Just had to learn how to reiterate what you want in the right way. Broken this down, so the next lecture we're going to get into that, and we're going to learn all about these creation actions. But actually, first off, none of this means anything unless we're prompting correctly. We've done lots of prompting before. I just want to get this specific for Midjourney and just have a nice flow for you. So let's quickly jump into a very short one with some prompts and kind of a nice structure for you. And then we'll get into this and get creative. So now before we get into the next lecture where I'm going to show you some specifics of editing, in painting, some real detailed stuff inside Midjourney here, I want to just make sure that you know some things regarding prompting, not the basics of prompting. We're going to get a little bit in depth here, understanding some syntax and parameters to repeat things and stuff, just so that it makes it a lot easier for you. And also some shot styles, because some of you, obviously, depending on how much you know about filmmaking, then you may not understand that, oh, I wanted that as a low angle shot or an establishing shot. So we'll go over a few things inside here, and I'll bring up some slides now. So you have access to this. You can download it from here and you can check all this out. And I have on here the ideal Midjourney prompt, which would be in these 5 points here. Put in the type of image and emotion, almost the composition, then the character image description, style, and then some extras. And I've got an example here. So a cinematic image, that's the type of image that it is. Moody, gritty. Okay, that's the emotion that it is. And I'm saying ultra realistic. And then the composition here, point 2, is wide establishing shot of, number 3 here, character of a man. He's aged 50 and he's in a red leather jacket with long black hair. He's looking into the distance. The style is a classic Western style. Extras, if you wanted him to be holding a gun or something like that, or in the background have a herd of horses and things, then that's where you'd put in the extra details. Do remember though, not too much extraneous detail, because the prompting works best if you can get it as neat as possible. If you start putting lots of extraneous stuff, then the prompt might start concentrating on those things as opposed to what you really want. Also, avoid conflicting information. We've seen this a few times as we've gone through some of these models. If I say gritty, ultra realistic, and then I also say animated cartoon style, happy, bright, then the model is going to get confused and you're going to get some funny results. Turn your settings to be raw like we've shown you in the last one, just to make sure it's adhering to this prompt. Otherwise, it might be doing something completely different. In that you give it allowance to start doing a little bit different to your prompt, and that's not what we want when we're trying to create specific images. And you can research the style first. We have the style page to make sure that you're doing the right style. If I want this in a Western style, if I want this in a cyberpunk, if I want this in blue lit hue kind of thing, know the styles and give that information. Now I want to show you some parameters and syntaxes. These are things you can type into. Now, when we used to have the Discord version only of Midjourney, then you'd have to use a lot of these. Even if you wanted it 16:9, you'd have to type in --AR space 16:9. Now on the desktop version, it's super easy, as you've seen. You can just go to this and you can choose what it is in your settings, like we did in the last lecture where we're setting up, I wanted a 16:9. Now there are still some things here, because Midjourney can do so much, that you will want a syntax for. They may be added to in the future inside the bars there that you can just slide or toggle on or off. But for now, I think these are the main ones that you're going to want to use. Now repeat, very handy. You've seen me use that. All you do is type in --R space and then between 1 and 40, and it will generate that. So if I say --R space 4, because Midjourney does 4 images anyway, you're going to get 4 times 4, you're going to get 16 images that are going to be brought up. Now image weight is also quite good. When we click that, and you'll see us do this a lot in the next lecture, when we click this symbol, it won't mean anything until I've shown you how to use it, but bear it in mind for reference. Then I can choose an image weight. So if I upload an image that I like and then I do the image weight of 0, it's pulling on that image weight less than if I use 3. We're going to be doing that in the next lecture. The same with style weight. When I attach and have an image and I click the style weight, is the style of that image between 0 and 1000. If it was a moody, dark cyberpunk image and I put it on 1000, it's going to draw on that a lot for the style for that specific image I uploaded, as opposed to if I did 0. Now, negative prompts are handy. It doesn't always do it first generation, and you might have to do it a few times, but --no, for example, that image I was talking about in the last slide, and I didn't want any horses in my image from that guy, which Midjourney may put on there. I'll do --no horses. for example. Now, prompt weight, that's how much. We don't really need to do it because we can assign the syntax here, ... and we can say, for example, 2, 1 for certain things. I don't use this a lot, but some people do. The syntax of Midjourney sets the prompt weight, allowing you to assign relative importance to different parts of the prompt by separating them with ... followed by the weight. So it is handy. For example, if I have a sky, 2, forest, 1, it will give the sky twice as much influence. If I want a man and his horse, or a woman and her cat, or a child and their dog, whatever it is, I could have ... 2 after cat, and I could have ... 1 after woman, child, man, whatever, just to make sure that in the prompt, and this is handy especially when you got conflicting stuff, to give it just a little bit more prompt weight towards that. Very, very handy. Now, quality, we don't need to use it too much because we can upscale and do this, but you can set quality -- 0.5 to 2, and it does adjust the quality of the image generation, higher values producing more detailed and refined results. But it will take a little bit more time to process, and depending on the package that you have, like we've discussed. So I think these 6 are the parameters and the syntaxes that you'll still use, but you might not be using any of them. You probably will be using these 3 over on this side especially. We need to know a little bit more now. Just going to move on to shot types, because you're going to be asking Midjourney, hey, create me a shot about something. And if you didn't go to film school, you didn't study this, any kind of media communications course, then some of these might be completely new terms to you. Some of you it won't be, and you can just skip forward. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about lenses and f-stops and things like that in a moment. But just to let you know, I've got 2 slides here of some different shot types, which you probably want to bear in mind. An establishing shot, or some people call it a wide shot, but they are 2 different things. An establishing shot, something like this. Here's an establishing shot of New York City or a similar city. There's a wide shot, which is great to set up a place, and then a medium shot, close up, extreme close up, and over the shoulder. I'll go through these. For example, if I was creating a scene, I might start with my establishing shot. Now people know that I'm in New York City. Then I'll zoom into a wide shot. Oh, we're following this blonde woman as she crosses the street. Okay, now I know exactly where I am in New York, and we're following this person on the street. Then it might go to a medium shot. Maybe she does something, pulls something out of her pocket, grabs something. Perhaps it's really intense and it's a gun she's pulled out, and I'll cut to a close-up of her face, and then it gets really, really intense. Oh my God, she's going to shoot someone or something. Extreme close-up of her eyes, of the gun. And that's how you can start creating a story through different shots. But if she suddenly has a conversation with someone else comes up after this and says, hey, what is he doing? Why have you got the gun out? What's happening? An over-the-shoulder shot is really handy for that, because now we know this woman is talking to this woman, and then you'd reverse that and have the shoulder of this woman over here, opposite side, on the left-hand side of the screen, and this woman's face on the right. Really handy over-the-shoulder shot, and these are what you can use inside your prompts. A few other shot types to be aware of. Let's do a low angle shot. This is an extremely low angle shot, but you could just be slightly low. And this is also a very low, very high angle shot. This because Midjourney, I think I mentioned this when we did the Adobe Firefly lesson a few lessons ago. It kind of does the extremes, whereas when you generate your images through Firefly, it's definitely more subtle, but you can just keep working and working these. Now, a low angle shot gives someone power and dominance. This person is dominating the city. They're a powerful character. You look down on someone, it kind of does the exact opposite. You're looking down on them. It gives them a lot less power. Some other ones you might want, like an establishing shot, or if you're opening a scene, you might want a drone, or perhaps you might call it a bird's eye view, almost straight down or sometimes at a bit of an angle over the city. And these are really nice with movement going over the top. And then some other ones you might want to know. Fisheye, perhaps someone's looking through or about to look right up into camera. They're looking through the peephole in a door, or just to give that illusion of something's a little bit off and weird. Perhaps she's in your story having a bit of a mental breakdown or something, and this is really nice to kind of connote that inside an image. It's all about the connotations that we're pulling with an image here. Power, you understand that without even knowing it. You subconsciously understand that. You subconsciously understand there's something wrong with this image. It's fisheye, it's a little bit distorted and strange. Now, the interview or asymmetrical shot is great if you were doing people talking to camera. that's often put them over to the right or the left, looking at camera, as opposed to straight in the middle. And opposite to that is a symmetrical shot. This is a little bit Wes Anderson and strange and quirky with the lighting and the symmetrical lights, but these are kind of the opposite of each other. Now, the last thing before we go into creating a lot of this and start using Midjourney to create some images, and then I'll go and create our courses, I want to talk to you about lens types. Some people don't use this in their prompting at all. I often don't, and some people love them, and every single prompt has this. I won't go massively into depth with it. You don't need to go huge understanding of all of this like we're training at a film school and playing with the lenses, but just to get yourself an understanding somewhat. You could say out of focus, tight shot, wide shot. You could be saying this kind of thing, but you can also use the millimeter of the lens. Now, pretty much a wider shot to tighter shot, we've got 10 mil, which would be a kind of a wide shot outside, probably even slightly wider than this, all the way up to 200, and you can go way up higher than that, where we've got a really close shot right here. So you could say the kind of lens that you want. You'll often find that perhaps also a wider lens, depending on the f-stop, mention that in a minute, has more in focus or less in focus as opposed to this. So they're the lens types that you've got here in millimeters. So you might say in your prompt, shot on a 35 mil, and it's a medium shot. And you may also say, here's the f-stop. Don't get confused or worried about this. Quite simple. F-stop from say 20, probably not going to want any less than that, to 1.8. The bigger this number and the smaller this number, the more shallow depth of field. That's what this means. So more blurry background, the smaller number. The bigger the number, then the more that's in focus in the background. What you have to do is remember that f-stop is pretty much, imagine a circle inside the camera lens, letting light in. That's actually what's happening. And the bigger the number, the bigger that circle, the more light that comes in, the more it can get in focus all the way to the back right here, all the way to the front. The smaller the number, at 1.8, then the more it's going to be a more shallow depth of field and blur this, which is great if you want to give concentration to a character as opposed to the background. Whereas the other shot with an f20, you're obviously showing this person is on this street and you want the character to see the street and where they are, whereas the 1.8, they could be anywhere, and the concentration is definitely given to the character's face. So that was just some prompting and some things you need to know before we go into the next lecture, where we're going to start really editing these images down, really start playing with them, using images for style weight and things like that, and some in painting and editing and things. Let's go over and do that now in Midjourney. Exciting, now we're getting into the advanced part of Midjourney. After this, if you want to follow along, I'll be making our course project in a few lectures time. I have some stuff about face swap coming up, and then we're going to actually do the course project. So you'll see me in depth, step by step, generating the images for my project, all the problems I come up when I need to do some in painting, something's wrong, I need to change the color of a shirt, hair, I need to make it at different angles. You'll see me do that as I'm actually doing the project. But I'm going to show you this right now for an overview of it, so you can see what's needed step by step for really getting these images as we want them. So if I generate, for example, this is a cinematic image, moody, gritty. This is the one we had in the last lecture on the prompt. Establishing shot of a man, age 50, red leather jacket with long black hair into the distance. So this is the image that I have right here, and we've seen how to generate this and all the settings and thing on the previous lecture a couple ago. Now what I want to do is start doing some other more advanced things. Before I go into this, if you want to just regenerate this just very subtly, this image, for example, very subtle, or if I want to do it very strong, then we have those options here. So you can see if I do it subtle, it pretty much keeps the exact same image, but it's changing the background. A bit of his zipper is changed right here. There'll be a little bit of difference on his face right there, but not very much at all. That's a subtle change. Now, to change this way more into a very strong, it's called, here's pretty similar, but we're changing the angle of the shot, the direction he's looking. This is how you change that. But we can get a little bit more in depth with this. If I click on the image, you can see all these actions here. They're called creator actions. If I click more image, I can see that everything is selected. So if you don't have something that I'm going with here, click more options and you can add it. So you can vary this or remix. So strong, strong, subtle, strong, sorry. So let's just do this. I'm going to go through all of these, okay? So very subtle, very strong, remix subtle, and I can also change the prompt here. That's the difference. Remix strong, and I can add that in right there. Let's check out all of these generations right now. So this was our original image we were just playing with. Here is very subtle right there. When I clicked, this is for very, very subtle. That's these four. Let me go through these. Okay, just a little bit on his face. Even the background stays pretty similar. And then I'd said very strong. So we've got these images, still has him all over the same side of shot. It hasn't really completely changed remixes, but the background is very, very different. And now we've got the other two options, these top ones right here, these four and these four. This is where I used remix, which is slightly different. Remix can build upon the image by creating similar ones, a newer updated prompt. So I didn't add any prompting in here, but we've got these ones right here, which was more subtle, and these ones stronger. We can see that they're much, much different. If I click on this and I go remix subtle, I could then say, I could add into this, for example. So it still has all of this right here, remix for that image. I could say black, or actually it's better to go darker background. Let's say black. And you have the results. Is it slightly darker background? It's changing his face quite a bit, but I don't know if it is much darker. A little bit perhaps, but I'd have to just regenerate and regenerate that. So whilst I'm on this image, I can also, we talk about upscaling using an external platform, which I'll go into later in the course, but I can upscale this. That's to make it a better quality. And I can actually show you these. If I download this one, then I can upscale it subtly and upscale it creatively. You'll see the difference, and it's going to be loading just that one image. And this one is just upscaling pretty much the exact same image. It has to say subtle because there might be just some small things as it's upscaling it, but this one should upscale it with a little bit more creativity. If you're ever wondering which one you've got, if it's not too obvious, then obviously it's got the S and the C here for upscale subtle, upscale creative, and they're obviously going to take a little bit longer to generate these iterations because there's a lot more detail being put in. So this one's upscale subtle. If I zoom in, yeah, look at the detail in his face here. You can see the texture of the skin underneath the eyes. Really, really nice. Let me just download that one. And this is upscale creative. If I just put in the back, you can just see the creative part it's done here is just change a tiny bit of the background, but because of the lighting mostly. Let me download that one as well. So these are the three images. If I just have a look at this, I can go I can get some details about this. Okay, it's 1.3 megabytes. It's only 72 pixels per inch, and the image size 1456 816. Now this is the higher quality of image right here. If I do the same thing, I can see this image size is 2912 by 1634, still 72 pixels per inch, but you can also see it's now 7.1 megabytes. And the same with the final image right here. If I get that up, same thing, as opposed to our original, we can see what the pixels were here. So that's the difference between those. Now I can do a few things here. I can zoom this 1.5 submitted, zoom this type 2. Let's go back to our feed and check that out. So compare this, here's our original, and now here are the ones that we did 1.5 zooming out. And then this one is ×2, so we can get some more of the shots. These are quite nice because when we come to do video, I could, for example, have, I don't know, this shot, and I can tell it this is my start shot, this is my end shot, and it will just slightly zoom in. There are other ways to do that, or we could come into this one. So that's just quickly how to zoom that. Let's go into some more advanced stuff. So let's rerun the same prompt, which is just what it sounds like. You're rerunning exactly the same thing. And then editor, this is where we can start getting a little bit complex here. And click edit, and it gives me the option to change any of the prompt here. I can also erase and restore, change the slider, and also the aspect ratio here. So for example, if I wanted this to be a really wide shot, forget those ×2, etc., that might be a bit too much. But if I was wanting it like, oh, I've just clicked that, I'll explain that tool in a moment. I could just put this here, for example, and I could say submit. And it's basically, if we remember Adobe Firefly, Photoshop, and even in Runway Image, this is basically generative fill. You're now telling the AI, I haven't given it any prompts here, which I could do to add here. I'm basically telling it, fill the background here. I want it to be there. So now this is my shot, and it's filled in all the sides of it. Oops, put a nice window in there, giving me a light source. That's really nice. And I think that one's my favorite one right there. So that's how, if the shot's not quite right, you could quite easily be changing that. Let's go back into this shot again, and I want to go editor, and I can do some other things here. So if I want to erase something, make sure you got it selected here. This is how big it is. I could change it to be that big. I only want it small here. I'm going to just do this. Now let's just put in here at the top here, I'm just going to go red leather jacket. Now what I like to think here when I'm doing prompting is basically, don't try and describe the image again. I describe what's in this space right here, and I keep it as simple as possible. You have to put in some kind of prompt where you want it to do. Just keep it as red leather jacket. Hit submit, and then let's close it and have a little look. Okay, this is typical with AI. It doesn't always do exactly what you say. So you can add this, go across. It's changed the zipper, basically, is what it's done. So if I go back to the same image we were working with here, edit, you see it's got one, is still there. So it's already highlighted what I want right here. Let's just say the words remove. Let's submit that. Let me go remove zipper, remove zip, and I'm just gonna, oh, I'm getting some prompts coming up here. So you'll see this, and I mentioned it with X, with Grok, that sometimes it's a little bit sensitive. If I'm saying remove zip and remove zipper, then is it thinking it's somewhat sexualized, which is ridiculous, obviously, if they knew the content of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to say remove pocket leather, and I'm also just going to do this thing where I just put in a period, a full stop, and just submit that. Okay, let's close and take a look at these, and you'll find, you'll see me when I go step by step, you will always do various generations of this and be playing with this just to try and get it to understand what the heck am I trying to do and to make the model understand. So you'll find yourself doing this just to get that perfect image. Here's the one with the full stop. Here's the one with leather. Here's the one where I say remove pocket. And then there's the ones that were blocked when I said remove zip and remove zipper. And this one was the one where I just said remove. So I've already seen the results that I want. This is not, still has a zip there. That has a zipper, and so does that. This one, when I just said leather, definitely has the zip still there. This one, when I said remove pocket, there. That's my one, but these other three generations inside remove pocket, you see it here, still have them. But that's my image right there that I wanted, and then there's the ones that I didn't let me generate. So I can have this image right here, and if that was it, I could go, okay, let's upscale that, and now I want to keep it. Or we could keep editing if we wanted to. Like I can go to editor right here, and I want to, actually, let me just go back to one of the edits that we did to show you restore. If you were either in the middle of, where's our image that we were playing with? Here, this was the one here. I can go to here and I could say, oh, actually, I didn't want to do that. I could hit restore and I could re-rub that back in. Or whilst you're editing something, if I go like this, I want to remove these buttons. Oh, I took a bit of the jacket out. Go back to restore and you can put that back in just to make sure in there. That's the restore. All right, so I want to show you some other things here. Let's go back to that image without a zipper. Let's go back and go into editor. And this time, this is very, very difficult to do. I'm going to do this right here. I'm just going to say pocket with a flower. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to do lots of different iterations right now. Okay, let's submit. If this comes out first time, I'm going to be very, very happy. You'll see this is there has to be something in all editing that gets you, and sometimes it is using this like in painting editor. But I do see, I think I see a flower right here. Okay, yeah, there is. It's almost like a brooch on a pocket. Now I could do remix subtle right here. Okay, I could remix subtle right there and see if it comes out. Or I could do the remix right here. See, it's already got pocket with a flower. Let's close these. Let's see what it does. And it's making different versions of this. Pocket with a flower, there's one, oh, there's one like a nice daisy right here, but it is changing his face because this one we had a more creative one, and we can change these, but pocket with a flower, yeah, we've definitely got some kind of version of it with a flower right here. So that's everything you pretty much need to know in editor. Obviously, if I suddenly wanted to change this to 1:1, I could do that. I could either zoom this image to fill the frame, or I could leave it like that and let it use generative AI to kind of work out what goes in the rest of shot. I love this. And then it does this and it guess, okay, he's holding a bunch of flowers. He's holding a bunch of flowers. He's not holding anything, or also not holding anything, but it looks like there's a stem of a flower right here. So you might like this image and you might want to obviously remove this like we did before. Now, the last thing inside here, inside these creator actions I want to show you, which is the most advanced, but don't be worried about it, is image, style, and prompt. These are quite simply, this is the most simple one. If I go back to one of our earlier images that we generated here that has a prompt, if I'm in here, this has got a prompt right here. I can use the prompt and then I could either add to it, regenerate it again, or whatever it is that I need. So I could just remove that right there. And if I want to now, there are two things, style and image. Now you see these came up one at a time, style and image. So I could either just have that one, style, or I could add image right there. And what it's basically doing, if I hover over to tell you right here, style is to add and input this as a style reference, image input as an image prompt. So the style of this, dark, moody, red jacket guy or whatever, if I actually just close this and I go style, and then I want to say a woman in a leather jacket, and that's it. I'm not giving it any instructions as to its dark, moody, setting, lighting, anything, but I've selected this image right here to be my style guide for this. It should use it as a reference. Let's hit that and see. Oh, I see I've just said jacker rather than jacket, but hopefully AI understands my typo. Okay, nice. Some of these are a little bit out there, a little bit whack, but this one, yeah, getting quite similar with the lighting, especially yellow lighting, but you can use that as a style reference. You could upload your own images, for example. Here's some images that I've used for things like, here's a picture of Snoop Dogg, but I wanted to use this not to create Snoop Dogg, but to have this image, use it as its like style guide and to be the same layout. So sometimes I do that, but if we get like here's a picture of the artist Jelly Roll, and I say I want to use it as the style, and I could say a woman looking at camera. Let's hit that in there. Okay, absolutely. So we can see from the image here, this like sepia, calm black and white-ish kind of look. It's used that exactly. Now, we've mentioned in the syntax last time, if I just click on here and I can see that it's used this as the style guide for sure, just to double check everything fine. Let's go back in and do that again. I'm going to use it as a style, and I can say a woman looking at camera. Now, do you remember we had the style weight right here on that sheet that I showed you in the last lecture where we were talking about different prompts and syntaxes? And for this, the style weight, I go dash dash SW style weight is between a 0 and 1,000. So if I go 1,000, it's using it very much as a style reference. Let's hit that one. Actually, let me just copy that while I'm here. Let's do that one. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Let's go click on that icon and do this. And let's do 10 for this one. And we can compare them side by side. And here's the difference between them, SW10 and SW1000. So we can see when I'm using this, because the style weight is, as you can see, pretty much always taken as default unless I've told it the amount. Here I've done it as 1,000, and it's exactly the same style as regards coloring goes and everything. Whereas if I did style weight 10, it's kind of got this, definitely a yellow hue, apart from this black and white image, definitely more of a yellow, warmer hue, which we have right here, but not as much as if it was 1,000. So that's style weight. If I do the same thing, let's go to this image again, actually, to show you, because it's got quite a strong style. Let's instead click this one, which is image, which would be the same if we were in here and we used this as an image, but now I've got two conflicting images. So either way, you could either upload it and have an image or use one that's already inside your canvas. Now I'm telling it the image, which we can also do image weight 0 to 3. I'm just going to leave it like this for now and just say a woman looking at camera. Not giving it any other details, so very bad prompting, but good for an example. I love AI, it does this. So this is used this as an image reference. You see in the center of shot staring at camera. It hasn't used the star weight like we saw last time. Not that many of these are in that harsh sepia tone, slightly here, definitely warm, none of them are blue hue. But because my image is used it and my image has a beard, when I've generated a woman with this, it's given a woman with a beard. That's fine, but you can see how it's using the same kind of composition almost. You can think of that as composition, which we had in stuff like Adobe Firefly when we were specifically choosing it when we did that. That's pretty much what that is. Let me just check this and let's go. Let's do Amy Winehouse right here. This time let's select that, so image reference on here, and let's go a woman looking at camera, and it should be using the image layout, so she's kind of center and then her head's tilted and staring at camera here within the image it's generating. Now we can also do, if I do the same thing again, let's select Amy Winehouse, make sure this logo, I'm going to go a woman looking at camera hyphen, and then this time we're going to go IW, image weight, and these are between 0 and 3 being more obvious, and go image weight 3, so it's really going to use the image weight here, and let's hit that. And here's our previous generations that we got. We can see this one's very Amy Winehouse-esque, and we've got the same kind of format here, finishes at her shoulder, finishes at the top of her head. This one's a little bit closer, but you can see the similarities between this reference. Now this one should be even more aligned with the image that we're having right here, where we're looking at the kind of image, the person and the composition. So they should pretty much all be facing to the left. Yeah, they're all doing that, and it's using it very much as a reference. So if you wanted someone who, this is quite good when we're creating people, I want a character that reminds me of someone, a famous person, in this case Amy Winehouse. I want a character that's very much Amy Winehouse-esque. I could create that by using that exact tool, the image weight, and I could create a woman who's definitely not Amy Winehouse, but definitely has Amy Winehouse vibes for this example. So they're really good to use, image weight and style weight. Then this is a very important tool because you're going to want consistency between characters. Let me just open this up. For example, you see we have all these options here for image and style. That's great, but watch, if I click this one, you see this person icon. Now basically what they're saying is this image has to have this person. So now if I say a woman on a horse close-up western, I'm just going to give it that, for example. Now it's using that person as a reference, not the image style, not the composition, which I could also add multiple of if I wanted to, and add more than one of those things in. But for example, I could go star right there. Now it's got the style of that image and the person, but I don't want that. So we have this, and I'm going to hit enter. Now it's generated these images, a woman with a horse, didn't give it much details, with that same woman, this woman that we had in here. So now do you remember we went back in the last steps when I'm generating my storyboards and style guides? So when I have the storyboard now and I made that character, I've pretty much got her and I can store it. You can see it here. This is my girl in Japan and my one in the US. So I've selected her and I do this and I say, a girl looking out of her window, 1940s bedroom, for example, and I can just make sure that's selected. So now we're making our movie. I can make sure that I have the same people for continuity across all of my shots. And if I think it's failing just slightly, not the same person's face, I could use face swap, which I'm showing you shortly, but you can pretty much regenerate, and it does a really good job at doing that, at tracking the person. So the continuity, this is crucial. This is where some other AI image tools, you've seen us doing it inside some of the other ones that are way more just for fun, a lot of them, or even some of the other big tools really lack being able to have that continuity between characters. So this same girl is here, here, here. This one's slightly less, but we've got the same character throughout. So now you have everything in your creator actions. You can vary, you can upscale it, you can remix this. I didn't show you panning. For example, panning means, so left here means they're going to go left, she's going to go right. So I can show you and just move her over. And the same with up and down. You know how to zoom out 1.5, 2, but if we use editor, we could zoom this right out as much as we want and have generative fill. And then we've got more. We can rerun this or go into editor like I've just shown you. And then we start using the prompts and the weights for the image and style, which is really important. So when I moved her over that way, there we go, we moved her over. If I didn't like it because I think that, oh, that's no longer 16:9, sometimes it does that. That's okay, because we can go into editor and I can now go 16:9, please. And it can say, all right, do you want us to make up the top or the bottom? I say, no, it's good. I'll just make you bigger, make this bigger as much as I want right here. Put her over on that side. Yeah, and let's go with that and let's submit. And we have this really nice shot right here, which I could then go in and edit. I could start removing people, changing earrings, changing hair pieces, even change the look of her face. If I wanted to change hair color, do whatever you want. You have all the tools at your disposal right now. That was an overview of all of these, and we went quite in depth in this one. If you want to see me in real time we've been working on my own project, haven't we, that I'm going to submit to festival. If you want to see me use this, we've generated some of the images, 10 or so. You want to see me generate all the other ones and really work on this and use a lot of these creation action tools, then you can do that, and it's a long one and you can skip through and see what I'm doing. Perhaps if you're having trouble with anything, you'll see me answer that and do it in real time, because I'll have the same trouble also. Sometimes what you do, the biggest one that people have, is when they're trying to edit something. For example, if I have the image weight in here and I'm trying to generate a man or do something like you saw, I've forgotten I've got the image weight on right here. We can just come and deselect it if you have any of that. Or you can see that if I go into here and I want to change something, all right, let's edit this. Remember, if I want to change it completely to be like a man on the beach or whatever, and I've still got maybe even this or this selected, it may be drawing, especially this, it'll be drawing from this deal. So I can still say I want a man looking at camera, and I've forgotten that, oh, no, I've got this one selected right here. You'd see it would generate but still be using some of the influence from that image, which is not what we want. So now you've gone over all of these tools here, all of the different image tools we've been playing with. Some you're going to like more than others. Some have a lot more features to them. You're going to decide which one you like the most. I think a lot of you are going to like Midjourney or maybe Adobe Firefly or Stable Diffusion, but this is my preference for sure right now. Although Adobe Firefly is getting really, really good, so I may be moving over to there. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Now we're going to go over, I'm going to show you some face swapping stuff coming up and things, and some ethical guidelines behind that, and how I could, for example, if I want to change this person's face, then absolutely I could, and I could swap it out for my own face, for example, or someone else's. And there are different tools to do that, some better than others. Let's go in and talk about that. In the upcoming lectures now, next few, I'm going to show you face swapping, where you can swap out one face to another. Obviously, before we get into that, I have to have this little, just a couple of minutes here, little talk with you. You could obviously then be manipulating this to make a famous person in an image, which could be derogatory for them, or you don't have permission, and the legal consequences and ethical consequences of that. Please swap them out if you found a perfect person's face that you want to use in an image, or perhaps it's your own face that you want to swap out, then absolutely do that. You can see images like this that I've made, and it's on site, where you take an image of yourself and place that into using face swap onto another image. Absolutely fine. You own the rights to your own image. I'm going to read this to you just quickly. Legal considerations. Consent required. Using someone's face without consent can lead to legal issues, especially in commercial settings. So if you're doing this for a company or something, right of publicity, unauthorized use of a celebrity's likeness may infringe on their commercial rights, especially if they're famous. Then their face is kind of their property, in so much that it makes them their living. Data protection laws. So under GDPR, that's especially in Europe, facial data is protected as biometric data. requiring consent to use. Now, of course, there are not just legal considerations, but ethical guidelines too. So transparency, clearly label AI generated content to be avoided deception. If you're uploading, and you've probably seen loads of onesies and celebrities even, but uploading AI content on YouTube or TikTok, most social media platforms, there is a slider right there to say, yes, this is generated using AI. Please tick that on. You're not going to get any less interaction because you put that slider on. It definitely doesn't do that. Some people are worried I've clicked this and now YouTube won't show it to anyone. That's not the case. You just need to do that. Privacy respect. Avoid unauthorized use of someone's likeness, especially in sensitive content. Don't be using a politician, celebrity's face and showing something untoward or something that they didn't do at all. Content responsibility. Ensure face swapping is used responsibly and avoid harm or misinformation. We're getting into a very dangerous time where we've seen misinformation, especially if conflicts going on around the world, and how that can be used. Laws are coming in all the time for this, which could possibly be backdated and you could be in trouble for this. Don't be one of those, please. As a student of this school, we say do not use unauthorized use of somebody's face, especially in a derogatory way. There's still freedom of speech if you're using someone and making something comical, lighthearted that couldn't possibly offend the person or whatever, but you don't know that for a fact. So our stance on this in the school is don't do it. Best practice to obtain permission for commercial use, especially prioritize privacy and stay informed on evolving regulations. I'll try to update this as we move on in this world, in the AI world, that is, where laws are going to be coming more and more into place and they're going to be regulated. They're going to be acted upon more and more, I think. Okay, so let me show you some face swapping. So face swapping can be done on a few different tools. I'm going to start with Midjourney. Yes, you probably don't recognize it. This is Midjourney, unlike here where we've been using this before. So this is Midjourney. I'm going to show you the face swapper inside here. Now this one right here, there's a few tutorials on face swapping, is the most complicated one. I'm going to show you the next tool, extremely easy, and so is the one after that, Remaker and Cool. They're very, very easy. This is slightly more complicated to set up because you're inside Discord, but I'm going to go through it with you step by step. There's a few steps here, but if you want to just use browser-based face swap, then the next couple of lectures are for you. But to show you inside Midjourney, here we are. So the first thing you need is Midjourney Discord. So if you have a Midjourney account or you don't, here is what it looks like on browser. Thank goodness we have this version now. If you were using AI a couple of years ago, we would have been very used to seeing it inside a Discord channel. So if you don't have it, just search Midjourney Discord and join the Discord. And then if you have an account already, log in or you can sign up. So this is what it looks like. And I could just to show you how easy it is now with the browser. Before we used to have to go /imagine like this, and then we used to have to go a woman looking at camera, intense, dark, aged 5, sorry, and then I'd have had to go on AR, that's the aspect ratio, 16:9, and any other prompts that I wanted to do, and I'd have hit enter and I'd wait for the bot to create this. And here are our images right here, really nice. And I would have gone use number 1, 2, 3, or 4, or have a variant on 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was much more complicated than the browser version we have now. Very lucky. So if you want to do face swapping, there's a few things that we have to do here. So the first step here, hit the plus icon over here to add a server. That's what we want to do. Create my own server, and then we can do it for me and my friends. And you can name this whatever you want. Let's do face swap like this, and then I can go create. Now the next step, we need to invite the Midjourney bot to that server. I know for most of you this sounds very complex. Just follow along. You don't need to know the ins and outs of it. If I come over here to Midjourney, I'm looking for Midjourney bot, or inside your direct messages, even up here, I can check the bot out here. So just click on Midjourney bot right here, add app, and then I can go add to server. Now I want to add this to the server we just created, fswap, continue, and allow it to have access to everything. Let's authorize. Am I human? Yes, I am. Okay, success. Okay, so I can now go into face swap right here, or you could click it up right there and I can see it, everything here. Let's be in there. Now we've invited the Midjourney bot. I need to add another bot on here, the face swap bot, into this server. Think of it as inviting a tool. You have to invite Midjourney because it's Midjourney into your section, your tool, your page here. And I need to put the face swap into here. Now I've already done this. I'm going to leave a link with this tutorial and I can show you what that is. I've already done it here. So I already have it inside this other server here. This is the one we just created. I already have it inside this one. If you don't see anything, click on this show member list and I can see that the Midjourney bot is in here. I'm in here. And the Insight face swap is this. If I click it, this is the link I'm going to be giving you right here. And then exactly the same way right now, you would be adding this into this server also. So it looks something like you're going to click on the link, come to this page. I'm going to add it to the server face swap. Let's continue. Yes, give it authorize all of this. I'm human. And now I can go to face swap. So we're inside face swap right here that we've just created, that server that you're following along. And I can see right here again, member list, I'm in here. The Insight face swap is in here. And so is the Midjourney bot. Now, the first thing you want to do and you have to do is you need to set an image. So you're basically telling face swap what it is, who it is, the face I want to swap, the original image. So the person whose face I'm going to put onto something else. So if I click in here and go /save ID, you see it pop up here with the same logo as the Insight face swap. If you don't see this, it's because this isn't in here. So I can click on this and it will say, sure, drop me an image or upload a file. Let's do that. Let's get this image of me that we've used before. So I have that and I need to name it. Let's just name it me. And click enter. Again, it's done. It says I've created this. It's called me. Here is the image. So now any image I now upload into here, which we do next, and I say swap this face, it's going to be swapping it with this person. So if you need to change the person, I'll go /save ID. And then if I chose someone else or another image, another person, now all images from there on will be using this one. You're basically saying you're adding, if you're going to see in the next couple of lectures, you have to add someone's face in, first prompt, and then what to swap it to. It's exactly the same as doing that just inside this Discord. Now, the good thing about being already inside Midjourney Discord, I'm going to create my image that I want here. To create an image on the Discord, like I showed you at the start here, you go /imagine. Here we are. And now I'm giving it the prompt what I want. So if I say a night, let's do that. A night, man, looking at camera, middle of image, gloomy, dark, intense. For the sake of this, let's just get an image. It doesn't matter if it's an amazing prompt, but to show you the example of how to do this. So it's generated all my images here. I can have a look at these, like all of these, especially this first one, I think here. So all I have to do is I could either have variations of number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it can regenerate them, regenerate everything here, or use 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to use number 1. I really like it. I'm going to wait for it. There we go. Very, very fast. Now look how easy it is to use face swap now. If I just right click on here and then I go down to apps, we've already done InSwapper. Ignore these ones. You'll need to have a paid, more advanced setup, I think, for most of these. But you just go InSwapper, click, wait a minute, and now it's swapped for me, giving me 2 different versions of these. I've got credits here, 29 of 30, and then I can do a paid version of this. So if I click and have a look at these, that's me as a knight. And there's also me as a knight using the image that we uploaded. I can now make different variations of this. I could play with this. I can download it. I can do whatever I want to do, just like we would normally do inside either this Discord, or you could do it inside here. Obviously, we're on the Discord. You might want to download and upload these images or start changing this. When I generated my image, I could have told it to be 16:9. I can do all my editing here, make variations. I can start doing some in painting, zoom in, zoom out. These are exactly the same. We're familiar here with when we create an image, 1.5, 2, etc. It's exactly the same, just in a different place right here. So that was how to swap your face over. Slightly technical, I know, but inside Midjourney, if you're trying to keep everything inside here and you have a subscription to this already, So that's how to do that. But if you want to, some very cheap or even free versions in the next couple of tools I'm going to be showing you for face swapping now. Now, strangely enough, this little known AI tool, but I think it'll be around for a while, is actually my favorite for face swapping. It's called Remaker.ai, and you get a certain number of 25 or free credits per day, which is probably enough for everyone, but you can also buy credits. And from memory, I can actually click price right here and check it out. This will obviously be different depending where you are in the world, but 530 credits for $9.99 and $2.99 for 150, etc. I've maybe had 500 credits for 3 or 4 months now. I'm just not going to get through these. It is loads and loads of credits for not much money that don't expire, which is great. So this is the tool that I like to use. Quite simply, you come to this page, Face Swap Free, and you can upload the image. This is the original image, and then this is the target face that I want to upload on here. So I could just quickly grab an image right now. If we go back onto here, do you remember I had this image of this woman, kind of Amy Winehouse-esque? Let's download that. I could then upload that image here. There she is, and I can upload an image of myself. So here's a picture of me, not a great image for this example, but just to show the limitations and what it can do. I'm going to put my face onto this woman here, which shouldn't be great, but let's just see what it comes out like. Okay, definitely got my nose here, this bulbous bit here. I've got some stubble on here. Let me click and have a look. You can see the quality isn't great right here. That's okay because we can actually upscale this inside here. I could also download it, put it into any of the platforms we've been using and upscale it. But I can now choose to generate this for 1 credit, and it can also do face restoration. Let's generate a credit here. I'm going to download and have a look at me. Lovely. Here's an image of me. Now, obviously, this is not perfect because of the shape of face and size. So I'm going to give you a little bit of tips here. Now, when you're creating, I need an image of myself. So, for example, I wanted to create something. Let me show you. If you've been on site, you might have found an image like this of me on the site on aivideo.school. And there's an image somewhat of me, a handsome version of me for sure. But this works and fits because of the shape face that I've done. So you would need to, if you're inside Midjourney, be creating, for example, a man aged 38 looking at camera, sat at his desk. I'm going to show you what does and doesn't work here, just through some really simple things. All right, so for example, this person right here, let me download them. Say, I love this image. This is what I want. Download that. And if I select it to now be my original image, and let's swap this. Now, it definitely looks a bit like me. Yeah, definitely got my face right here. Let me zoom in. Definitely got my nose, eyes, yeah, mouth, and my stubble here. But that's not my shaped face. That doesn't work quite so well because it's not my shaped face. And everyone has a different shaped head, face. So you really want it to match the original one here. Now there's an even easier way to do this. If I come back into here and I upload the image, so here's an image of me, for example, if I'm using this one, and I can use that image. Do you remember, if we select here, person, I can say, a man sits at his desk looking at camera. With this person, remember, selected on here. Let's go okay. Okay, so now it's used my reference image. Let me zoom in here. It's not going to look exactly like me. That's why we're using Face Swapper. But you can see that it's using it and having a very similar shaped face. So now if I download this image, go back and upload that one here, and now we do a swap. And now it fits my face so much better than those other ones before. Now we've got a very similar image of myself. I might want to go in and tweak either in Photoshop or something to get this line slightly better here. But that could be me. That's swapped out right there with the right shape face. So that's a little hack that I really want to put forward about the face shape. You could obviously you could prompt and say longer face, thinner face, slimmer face, but it's so much easier if you have the reference image that you want to use first, but you want to change the background, then use that inside Midjourney if you are as the reference using that icon right there, and then you can swap these out. This is a very much underrated tool I've never seen many people speak about. Really like Remaker AI. Now this tool is called Akul, the URL akul.com. And it's got a few things actually. If I go back over to the main page that you'll see when you land on here, there's all kinds of things, or there's a referral program and stuff. There's your history and some things I've been doing, but they have face swap, live swap, talking avatar, video editor inside here, and streaming. So this is good if you're doing a product placement. You've probably seen adverts using something a bit like this, but we want to use face swap for this tool. So I've already gone on and played with some things before, and you get a certain amount of credits depending on your package that you're on. I could upgrade. I could show you here for $30 the number of credits that you get, and then $79, $350, and then if you want loads, let's talk. You also get the free one, which gives you 25 images, so you can come on and play with this all you want. All you do is you come to the page here, you can upload, choose your file and upload it here, and then you'll be selecting what face you want to swap it with. For example, here's one I've done in my history here, and then I can choose, you can either here select and I can choose what I want. For example, this image of me that we've done, or something else that I've uploaded here. Here's Donald Trump for test, so you guys can see how real it is, because you guys know what Donald Trump looks like, or Mr. Beast or someone. Of course, I would not be uploading this. I would not be using some of their permission, but for my own personal use, that's fine. Let's generate. And this is Trump. Yeah, definitely got a Trump-esque look to his face. Yeah, bit there and here. But I definitely think that the last tool we used, Remaker, would have done a slightly better job. Accord definitely has more realistic. If I look at this, that's definitely realistic. Like it doesn't have a lot of the cutout blur. I think even though the shape face different, which is the problem with Remaker. That's why I showed you about getting the face shape absolutely correct. This one definitely fits the shape face properly, but because the face shape is not like Donald Trump's, it doesn't look exactly like him. I wouldn't look at that and definitely say that was Donald Trump. But if you had more images and a better image, then definitely it could be. It's not my favorite tool, but it comes out pretty high of people wanting to use it for face swap. So I had to show you this. You can also do things like use another image. So if you're creating an image, even just for yourself, like I could use this image. Let's swap the face here, and I could swap this. Someone that you might know on here. Let's do Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, and let's have a little look. Okay, let's check this out. Yeah, definitely I can see Mr. Beast's face in here. Still, I'm not sure good as Remaker, but I have to show you every tool, and this one's been around for a while and I think still will be. So it could be something if you want a more realistic, perhaps if you didn't want the exact person you're going for, but a more realistic image, absolutely. Now I want to get into the exciting part, into the course project. You're going to see me making more and more of the images that I want to make for my final project that we're sending off to film festival. If you want to see me live almost in real time, I'll cut out the rubbish boring bits, but you want to see me generate all the images I need and how I'm doing it inside Midjourney, that's coming up. So finally, towards the end of this section now, I'm going to be doing the course project. If you've been following along, you'll know exactly where we are. We got our idea, we got our script, and then we started doing a style guide for what things should look like. Then we did an actual storyboard, so we have a lot of our individual images already created. And if you remember, there were some gaps in there. So actually, I'm going to get that up for you. I always have these to reference whilst I'm creating my images. So there's our storyboard right here, and here's my script. So I've got the entire script on here just in case I get lost and I need to remember what's happening, but I'm pretty sure I know exactly what's happening here. I'm pretty familiar with the story, but keep it on standby just in case. Now, if you remember the storyboard right here, it goes from top across like this and then back down and across. So come with me along here. We enter into this big wide establishing shot, we know it's called. right here of the USA, Pearl Harbor, and then on the outskirts of Hiroshima. And then we come inside and there's going to be a shot of the girl here. I may need a wider one slightly when we come to do this and put it into video. I don't really know until we get it into video. And then there's the shot of Amy here in Japan. Then we've got her coloring in. I probably want another image of this with her coloring in. And then I've got the same here with Amy as opposed to her looking at camera. Then we've got her drawing something and again drawing something. And then what I've got here missing is these shots of the girl looking up somewhere and a father entering shot, or we hear footsteps of a father entering shot. I might have a father enter here and you might just get a father enter or shadow or something here. So he comes in and he says a few things. We've decided that he's going to say something like, goodbye, I'm going into the city, or going into Pearl Harbor. Draw a picture of me, okay? Or draw a picture of us, because I want that to happen at the end when we know there's been explosions and the picture dropped to the floor. So he says the same thing to Amy in Japan. And then I need shots here. Amy back to the table to color in, look at the window and smile. See the outside scene for later. Show that Amy's not alone. So maybe in that father's dialogue also we'd be like, be good for your mother. So it show the mother's home. Then I'm going to fade so that it shows time passing. That's so that we know that the father has enough time to have got into the city, into the danger zone, if you like. Music's going to change. And then I need to have shot here, Amy's face, look to the window, something's wrong. So I'll have her look to the window. Maybe I'll twist and zoom to the window and then Amy will enter. I'll probably go through the window and see these shots like this. Come back to Amy here, and then I need an ending here, so I may have the picture drop to the floor that it's going to be of those two that they've been drawing to show that that's kind of the climax, or the ending, if you like, that obviously something sad's probably happened. So a picture of them. So I need to fill in the gaps here and change some bits, and then by the end of this, so if you follow along me almost in real time, you don't have to, you can skip forward. I'll cut out all the boring bits as I'm using Midjourney, but there'll be some bits in here where things go wrong or I can't quite get something right, and you'll see me work time and time again to get exactly what I want for this. I may also be using occasionally a little bit of Adobe Firefly or Photoshop to do some in-painting if Midjourney is really struggling, but it's going to be predominantly Midjourney. So let me go back in. The first thing I'm going to do is I have this. I'm going to just create a wider shot of this and a wider shot of this just to make sure I have them. And then I want to create this shot and this shot of them coloring in. So first things first, here's the image of Amy from the back, Amy in the USA, the ship's here. I just want to make sure that I've got a wider shot of this just to make sure when I'm zooming in, I have enough of a zoom. So if I just put that like here, this should be wide enough. Let me give myself a little bit of extra room to play with, something like that. Let's submit that, and then whilst I'm here I can find the image that we did of Amy in Japan also, which was this one, and then I'm just going to do the same thing just to make sure we have that. I quite like the idea of this being slightly from behind like there. And let's submit. Let's go into our creations now. You've got this shot, this shot, this shot, and this shot. Let me keep looking. Okay, I quite like this one. So I bring back on my storyboard. Let's have a green sofa on this shot. We have Amy. So just for continuity, it probably wouldn't be noticed by the public when they're watching, but I would notice. So I think if I have something like this, there's already a bit of a sofa there on the right hand side, you see. So I'm going to just go into editor right there, and let's just do this. Let's do that, and I'm going to say light green color 1940s sofa. I'm going to submit that. I'm going to take away the word light just in case, and I'm going to submit that. And then I'm also going to do one about the word color. Let's submit and let's see what we get. No, 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 and no. Full house, no. So let me continue. Let me play with this and I'll come back when I manage to get what it is that I want. So here's an example where I have done so many iterations, I mean so many, and it hasn't provided me with a sofa that I want yet. So sometimes when this happens, I take something like this, I upscale it, and then I'm going to put it into Photoshop, or I could be putting it into Adobe Firefly. I'm going to put it into Photoshop, and I'm going to see if they can generate me one with generative fill. Now before I do that, if I keep scrolling down, we know we generated some more shots of Amy in Japan. So okay, that's quite nice. You can like see, it's almost like out of a window and seeing what's there. All right, let's vary that subtle. Let's vary that subtle again. While it's going, I'm going to download Amy's image, and now I'm right inside here. So if I just, I'm going to try a few things here. Let me just select this shape so it knows where it can use something like this. Yeah, something like that. Let's try that one at first. Let's go generative fill. I want a green sofa. Now I haven't given it any details about time period or whatever, but let's just see if it does anything. Okay, it's definitely giving me some green sofas here like this, the wrong kind of style, but it understands what I mean. How much better was that than just using straight inside Midjourney? So I can say 1940s light green sofa. Let's generate. Okay, not that one. Oh, that's pretty close, like this one. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me generate again. Okay, getting close. I think this is pretty much it. This is almost identical to what I want. It's definitely enough. Yeah, this is really good. Okay, I'm going to save this, and then that's my wide shot image. All right, let's see how Amy in Japan's doing. Let's check out hers. So we still got this strange black framing in the front, but I do like that it's got houses outside. Yeah, okay, let's just play with one of these. I quite like this one, and let me just go and try and remove the black frame, just the one going across. I think let's just try a few things. Let's say remove line, remove black, and let's just do Japanese house. Okay, this seems to have worked with every single iteration, it looks like. Let me see which one I like the best. I've got this one, this. Okay, I think I like this one the most as the wide shot. I'm going to click upscale right here. I don't worry too much about these black bars right now. I could go into editor and I could remove those if I wanted to, but it probably would have done, if I upload this in video, it may have removed them anyway. But let's go remove black. Okay, and now if I am here, I've either got, yeah, that's got a strange bit there, like you can see through, but I like this little teapot detail. Let me keep going through this one. I like this. Let me upscale that. And now while I'm looking at my storyboard, the next one, while that's just upscaling right there, up-resing, these are my next two shots. I know they're looking at camera and you shouldn't, but there's something to do with these girls looking straight into camera that's really quite cool. I'm just going to write a note to myself, I think, because you could have something really cool right there where you have, I don't know, like a Tarantino style title that comes up or something with it. Let me just quite crudely just write cool title as look at cam, and that will just remind me if I just make that smaller. Okay, I'll just leave that there and it will remind me. So I do want a shot pretty much identical to this though. Perhaps I want this one slightly wider at first and this one slightly wider at first if I'm zooming in and do a title or something, or maybe I won't and I'll just have her staring and then she starts coloring in. So let's get these girls both looking down and coloring in for my next shot. This one has finished upscaling. Perfect. Really, really nice. Download it. So here's the image that we had of Amy staring straight at camera. Nice. Let me do edit and let me just do this. Okay. And I'm going to say girl looking down at drawing, which might be too much detail for us. Let's go girl looking down and let's just say looking down and let's see if any of those work. Okay, now, all right, so we now know from our lessons before that if I do that and I didn't have any style or image reference, that it did it perfect, a girl looking down, but it's not our same girl, and we want consistency throughout this. Obviously, of course we do. Now, I might not need to generate this image. When we're in Runway next and we are making our video, I can actually tell it in the prompt. I could give it that first image that we have and say, girl looks at camera and then girl looks down coloring. And we don't need this at all, but I want to create it just to make sure. I will now instead go back into the image that we had, and I will instead go image, style, and I will say girl looks down, looking down. Let's do that. Let's hit that one. I also want to go and put in that girl right there and the style and the image and say looking down. So I've got all three right here, so it should be the exact same image. Let's see how Midjourney coped with it. So this one was just having the style and the image looking down, not the same image at all. This one, I want the style, image, and the girl. This also is struggling with this. So, I mean, I know for a fact that I will be able to do it inside the video editor, but it'd be nice to have it here inside the image as a backup. So if I just look at some of these images right here, this is what I would do. I would grab this and go edit, and she has got bob hair, hasn't she? I remember we did that for hair. So 1940s bob hair, or I can just do bob hair style. Let's see what I've got here, and we're getting closer to it. You can see this is the absolute style that we'd have, probably like this one or this one, I think, or something, but we don't really need to do that because I'll show you just quickly. When I'm in Runway and we go to generative video, I'll be able to then drop in that image that we want to have Amy looking down on. So now we have the image here. I can give it a prompt. I can also just go into camera. I can tell it I want it to zoom in just slightly. It can tell you to where, zoom into here. And I can also give it a prompt, looks down coloring. And give it that. It may be confused by coloring, so I might have to generate again, but let's just see what happens there. So you can see that just inside Runway, inside the video editor, I can do this, and the girl looks down and is coloring in. You see, that was done inside there, so I don't need to. This is the life of an AI video creator. I over generate just to make sure I've got every image, and I can tell it to start on one image and finish on another that I've generated. But sometimes it's just not needed and you have to cut your losses. So I've tried really hard to get this look down. I could keep playing with it and I would definitely get it. But sometimes if you've already got the image that you need, you know you don't need to. If that doesn't work, then I would come back in and I'd be creating more and more and more. So the same thing with, if I go back to our storyboard, same thing with this shot. I'm going to just have the girl coloring in. I may need to add in, oh no, there's something here. I just want to have it, I'll probably have it hold so she's looking first at screen and then to start coloring. Pretty cool shot, really cool. All right, so next I wanted to create, it's this shot again, but I need her father to walking to shot. So I just jumped back into Photoshop here and they do a better job. The Adobe suites are really good, and you saw when we did Adobe Firefly how I would definitely go across the two platforms right now. Midjourney does do great stuff with a lot of inpainting for when you're doing more simple inpainting and tasks. But I didn't generate this image. If I generated this image straight away in Midjourney and said with a man walking in, then we could get that. But now I already have the image. I'm using inpainting inside Photoshop right here, or you could do it inside, like I said, Adobe Firefly or something. So this is my image of her dad walking in right now. If you missed this, go back and watch the Adobe Firefly and Photoshop tutorial and it'll show you that. I'm doing the same with Amy in Japan also. And then once again, in exactly the same way, I've got Amy's dad walking in right here. I had to make the shirt white and things as opposed to other colors that they came up with just by using generative fill, just like the tutorial about 5 tutorials ago for Adobe Firefly and Photoshop. So I have him in the background here walking in, and that's the shot I'm going to use for that. So on to the next shot. So we need to go from the shot where he walks in onto this shot right there. So all I'm going to do is, for when we have this shot where we had our dad walking in, I'm going to tell it in Runway. I'm going to say girl walks right and walks out of a shot. I don't need to generate an image for that. And then also the same thing for this. The girl is going to stand up and go. I need to change this to a kimono to match this one. She's in like a pink kimono. So let's change that. Actually, here's the image right here, Technicolor 1940s. Do you remember doing this a little while ago now in the course? Let me change this to pink kimono and like a bow at the back. Let's change that right there. Pink kimono, yellow bow. Let's see what happens if I do that. Okay, let's look at some of these options that it's given us. No, yes, potentially. Yes, potentially. That one's probably the best one, I think. And then if I want to just change that, I'm just going to remove that there and just say yellow bow. And I'm also just going to go pink kimono in case I'm going to add the bow after if it's not doing that. So look at these options for yellow bow. No, none of these are really suitable. Let's have a look here. Yes. Okay, that's good. I'm going to go edit and do this. And now I'm going to say yellow bow a couple of times. Okay, lovely jubbly. I think this one, yeah, that's really, really nice. I actually really like this image. So let's up-res that, and then that's my image for that done and complete. Let me work out what I've got to do next now. So she's going to sit back down at the table. I don't need to do that. I can have that done inside the video editor. Time passes, she's coloring in. What I want to get is a close-up of her pictures and then have it where it's a picture of her and her dad, and that's what I want her to say. Draw a picture of me and you, you and I. So let's do that one. Let me just see if that's high res finished. To download it. There, very pretty image. The lighting in here is really nice. Okay, download that. Now I want to go back to this image over the shoulder of Amy in Japan, and I'm going to play with this. I'm going to try it first inside here. Where we get into the nitty gritty, you're going to see me do a lot of in painting with other tools, but you will be able to do it inside of Midjourney. It just might take more time and iterations to try this. So let's go a child's drawing of a girl and her dad. Submit that a few times. Okay, and here are the different iterations that I've got. I'll compare that. You could keep going and going, and it would normally take me 20 times plus of iterations to try and get this. I'm going to also upscale this, and I'm going to take it into Photoshop now, and let's see if we can get it to do it quicker in here. Let's trial this. If I grab this area right there that I want it to draw on, let's go like that, and let's tell it a child's drawing of a girl and her dad. Let's start with that. Okay, so we're definitely getting pictures here of a girl and a dad. That's great. Let me say a pencil drawing of a girl and her dad. A child's pencil drawing of a girl and her dad. Okay, so I quite like one of these. These are quite a nice image right there. I'm actually going to generate another one. I like to have quite a lot of options, but these are exactly what I need. I'm going to do this both for this shot and Amy in the USA as well. This is nice family one. I'm going to have this one. And here's the photo I'm using, the picture, sorry, I've generated for Amy. What I'll probably do, because I need to show time passing, is I'll have it blank and I'll fade out. Then I'll fade back in to this original image, and that will show time passing, which we need to have right here. Now what I need is just Amy looking over at the window to the left. Actually, I don't need to do that because I'm going to use both these images right here. I'm going to use this one and this one as they're coloring in and looking down, and I'm going to have them shockingly look over to the left hand side quickly, which we can do inside runway. As I just showed you just now, we can do it inside here. So that's all the images that I need to tell my story. What I'm going to do next is actually put these down in the edit. You're going to see what I do first is I lay these down to see if it's telling a story and what's needed actually inside my editing software before I've even made it into a video. So I'm going to lay those down next, and you'll know if you're missing something or not. Maybe I am, but this is how I come across my problems. Now we've generated those images. You saw me do it with storyboard, and you've seen me teach you all about the remixing and using style and prompts and things. Now we've done that, you see me doing a lot of in painting, either using this tool or one of the Adobe tools. You can do it all in here, Midjourney. It just might take more iterations than if you were to use in painting, generative fill, rather, inside one of the Adobe products or similar. So I'm going to put this down in the edit now. Now, the next part, once you've got all your images, is actually really important. Well, not important, it's not crucial, but I'll show you why I do it. And I've just realized a mistake that I made, and this is the only way you can really get to see it and understand if what you have is working or whether you're missing something, which I definitely was and had to go back in and fix. So this is Premiere Pro. This is the editing software that I use to edit, but this could be in CapCut, it could be in Filmora, it could be in any tool that you're using. As long as you edit, it doesn't matter. All I do is drag in all of my stills. So hopefully you've been organizing this as I mentioned. I have a folder looks something like this. So all my stills I've been creating, I drop them in and then I order them, and then I use this. It doesn't matter about the length of these clips right now. They're all about 4 or 5 seconds each. It doesn't matter. This isn't going to be the final of anything. We haven't even made it into a video yet. It's just to lay it down so I can see it. So I'm just going to make this bigger for the sake of this tutorial. Going to move that there and move that across so you can see. So what I do is I lay down my shots and I start talking to myself, which makes me look crazy. But still talk to myself and I start understanding whether or not this is working. So, and the order of these shots might change, and I've altered them a couple of times. So I have this initial establishing shot here. Again, we're going to have titles, aren't we? But establishing shot of Pearl Harbor, that would zoom in, and then a shot of Amy in a house from behind, that would zoom in. Then I've got a shot of the city in Japan, that would zoom in, and also of Amy here, that would zoom in. Then we cut back to the shot of Amy, looking at camera, might have another title, and then she'll start coloring in, and then we'll go over her shoulder and we'll look at what she's coloring in. I'll do the same with Amy in Japan. She will be there. We'll probably slow zoom in and she'll begin to draw, and then we will also see that. I'll probably change this image. Eventually we'll look at what it looks like when it comes out on the video, but I might change her actual drawing. And then we're back to Amy in the US, and her dad walks in. I'd have some noise here of footsteps coming through. Her dad walks in, and then we also have Amy in Japan. Her dad walks in. And we'll have Amy in America. It will say something like, hey, how you doing? Don't miss me at work too much today. And pretty much the same thing with Amy in Japan. Don't miss me at work. I won't be long. I won't be late. And then it'll say, why don't you draw me a picture of you and I and mum, us lot together? And the same thing. Draw me a picture of you and I and mum, okay? And I'll see you after work. Then she goes back down and sits down to a table and she starts coloring in. This will be a blank page. And we zoom out of Amy doing that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with Amy in Japan. She sits back down at the table, starts drawing in, zoom out of there, and we fade. Time passes. We come back to the drawings, now complete, looking like this. Here's one Amy, and she hears a noise. So we come in on here and we hear like an explosion or something. She looks up, looks to the window, shocked, runs over to the window in the distance there and looks out. And we're going to cut back to, oh, no, that's skipped forward. So she looks out of the window. Then we're going to come into the other Amy's picture. Here's an explosion. Looks over at the window. What was that? Goes over to the window. And then we cut back to, there might be a fade out and here's some noises. Back to Amy's going to go over her shoulder and look out onto this explosion that's happening, and a realization that's her dad who's gone to work over there. And the same thing with this Amy. We look over her shoulder out the window and we see the explosions and we see Amy's shocked face. Now I realized that I was missing some bits here based on my storyboard that I wanted, and I was missing a few shots. I needed, they've had this picture, this piece of paper they've been drawing, so I need a couple of other shots here, and I have them here. This is what I was just working on. Didn't take me long. I needed shots of paper on the floor and shots of them holding paper and it falling to the floor. So I end up having these shots right here. Goes from there to Amy, and then I'll get the video editor to drop that, and the other Amy to drop that it'll fall to the floor and we'll see their childhood photo pictures they've been drawing of their family, and it'll fade and we'll have some kind of title, some kind of, I'll generate something with ChatGPT, something nice that summarizes it, like it's not only soldiers who losing war, or something that'll come out here, and that'll tell the entire message. So that works as a layout. When I animate these, if something's not working, I may go one step back and go back to the drawing board on some imagery. Probably going to be some tweaking with regards these pictures and changing these probably in Photoshop in generative fill. But that's the only way I realized there was something missing. So do lay these down in your shot, just plonk them on, timing or anything doesn't matter. Just drag through and speak to yourself, get your script back up if you need to, and see if it matches, and just see if it works. Does it work? Is the shots okay? Were they facing the wrong way? Like I did have one thing like this, and then this shot or another one like it was facing the other way, and I flipped it because it made more sense. Little things like that you can only do when you visualize it. So put it down in the edit. It's kind of important. Otherwise, you're going to go back too many times once you start making these into videos. That takes a long time. And that's what we're going to do next. So let's get over into that section. So upscaling or up-resing, just making your images a better, higher quality is really important. You'll see me do this throughout the course when I have images inside my AI image generation tool. Whichever tool you decide, there's quite often an upscaling option available on each one, and you should always take it, and I'm going to show you exactly why and some different ways you can do this. There are even some independent tools. So first I'm going to do this live with you, and you can just see the comparison, and when we put it into an AI video model, the quality difference that we get. Let's test this firsthand. So let's go. An old man staring at camera, wrinkles, dramatic, intense, blur, background. Okay, let's have a look at that. Let's also do a drone shot flying above London City. Just a simple prompts for the sake of this tutorial. And what I'm going to do is take these images and then I'm going to up-res them, and we're going to put them into here and see what they come out like in video, and reasons why you should be up-resing and how. So you could be doing this inside, but depending on your need and what it's for. If you're blowing this up 4K and it's going to cinema, then you might want to have use an independent tool, like I'm going to show you. There's a whole section on this later, upscaling, and I can show you that. I'll give you a brief overview now, but there is a section later in the course. If you're just making it for YouTube, just making it for online, then still upscale to get a better quality, or some people don't even do that, but I definitely would. So you can use something like an external tool, like Topaz, one of the most famous ones, but there is a price to it. Look, $299. It's not cheap, but if you're doing this and it's a full-time thing and making movies, then you might want to use this. And I'll just give you a brief example. If I keep scrolling down their page, you can get an example. Let's compare these now, and you can see the difference right here between one that hasn't been upscaled and one that has. They claim it can really sharpen your images to be ultra realistic. But like I said, it all depends on what it is that you're using this for. Think about your end result, where it's going, your product, and backward engineer to the decision, do I need this or not? So I like this one. I'm going to download that. That's my first one, not upscaled. And then I'm also going to upscale this subtle. Okay, and here is my complete one here, upscaled. So let me just download that. I can actually compare these two images side by side. This is the upscale version. This is not. Let's just zoom in right here. Let's zoom in on this. And yeah, we can definitely see, look at this, pixelated here and a lot clearer. The light here is blurred and here it isn't. So it definitely makes a difference to upscale. Now, does that make a difference when you make video? So I wanted to compare it to a landscape shot. It's actually giving me a drone in shot. That's fine. Let's just roll with this. So I'm going to download this one. I'll also upscale that. And this has now been upscaled, so I can download that one. Once again, let's compare these side by side. This is not upscaled. This is upscaled. We might be able to see it more because we've got stuff in the distance here. And then if I unfairly zoom that much in, you're not going to see too much difference when we go there. I can definitely see this has got more. Let's go to outer couple, and I can see that this building right here. Oh, this looks like I need to zoom in one more. Yeah, look how less detail there is here compared to here. I can see these quite clearly coming out. And if I actually try and get the information on this, I can see that it is 1.6 megabytes and the size is 1456. Let's compare that. If I go for this, now we're 6.7 megabytes because we're 2912 across. So it is actually a bigger, more quality image. Let's compare that in runway, okay? Because I want to see if these, when you're creating the video, that's what the whole purpose of this is for, whether it makes a difference or not. So let's do a little test with, here's our not upscaled man staring at camera. I'm not going to give any prompts for this, so we're probably going to get a slightly different result, but we should be able to see the quality still side by side. Great, let's generate that first one and generate the second one to compare the up-res version. Same again for our city shots. This is the un-up-res version. Let's generate that. And our upscale version for comparison. Now these two have generated already, so I can play these on here and I can see that they both zoom in, which is quite nice, but it's hard for us to see such a small image. Well, what it's like. So let's zoom in, let's download these and let's see it at large scale. Let me just play these side by side and see if you see any difference. It's hard to know because they zoom in so close here, so you're bound to get blurring anyway, and this one doesn't so much. If I look at the file size, they're actually both pretty similar as far as file size goes. Let's zoom into these. Okay, here's the image that I've got finalized. Let's have a look at that. If I go into here but come back slightly, it's about here, isn't it? So remember this, got some blurring here, but that's just deep focus. The quality of the lines right there, and then compare that to this one right here. Yeah, I would say that the quality of these lines is slightly deeper, but there's not that much in it. And that's because inside ML or wherever it is you're doing it, inside runway, you're going to have a certain amount of upscaling happen as they create your video, and they're going to manipulate the image just slightly so it doesn't make too much difference. Now you can, post having your video done, use another tool to up-res, to upscale this, and we talk about that later in the course where it perhaps will make a difference. Let's compare these two to get our final thoughts. These are finalized. There's a drone hovering over London that has four gherkins, we call them, the Gherkin building over here, which is funny. I only just noticed that. Not that it matters for the sake of this tutorial. And a very similar shot there. So I've downloaded these. Let's take a look. Okay, not upscaled and upscaled side by side. Not too much of a difference, but oh, it's slightly maybe in lighting here. Okay, let's take a little look at both of these. If I zoom in for this one right here, let me look. Okay, so this quality right here, we get a bit murky and lost, and the lines aren't that sharp. Let me take a look at this. Perhaps slightly still murky, but perhaps slightly sharper there side by side. This one is 2 megabytes bigger than this one, not much in it at all. So I think my conclusion with up-resing is definitely do up-res, because you might as well have more information that you're putting into your video generator, which for us is going to be runway predominantly. You might as well give it more information because it has more that it can do with it. It will slightly skew and upscale anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But when that happens, if you're looking to be professional and getting to the industry and make some great things, then of course we can talk about, and we talk about it later, there's a whole section, tools like Topaz, where you can actually up-res imagery. Like we've said, if I show you some other comparisons, where we've actually said, look, when you get this blurring and this slight pixelation and we just sharpen it a little bit, that's the kind of thing that Topaz can do, which is really exciting how realistic this looks in comparison. Like I actually shot this on a nice camera. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on upscaling. Let's continue with the course. Now, of course, I have a task for you in this section. If you're following along and going along with exactly what we've been doing, creating your own project, then please go ahead, follow your storyboard. So use the storyboard we developed in the last section as your roadmap, ensuring that each image aligns with the visual flow and story of your project. Don't suddenly have one image and then you have another one and the color's completely different. It's sepia and yellow tone in one and blue in the other, and the character looks slightly off. Now you have all these tools I've shown you, especially in Midjourney. Follow along and start filling in the gaps now from your storyboard to have all the images that you need to tell a story. Of course, refine these images, use those tools we discussed, make sure every little detail's right. You haven't got 6 fingers in one, she hasn't got a pink bow in one shot and a yellow in another. You can go in and just make sure it's perfect. When you get these images right and you spend a bit of time on them, it saves you so much time in the future, I promise you. Aim for perfection. These videos, these images, are everything that we're going to give the information for the video in the next section. These images are more important than the video itself for an AI video, believe it or not. And then you're going to save and organize like I showed. Make sure you've got these all in the right place. I hate it when you have to go through your desktop, your downloads, and find where things are. Keep organized like a proper little production company that we are when we're making this. The outcome, of course, with these high quality images complete, you'll have a strong visual foundation to transform all of these into dynamic animations, setting up your project for success in the next stage. And that's exactly what we're doing next.